Good morning and welcome into a Tuesday. One day removed from a Victory Monday. We'll keep it rolling today after a victory in Berlin and an off week in the bye this week for the Indianapolis Colts. The Pacers getting some good news, and they'll be back in action on the court later tonight in Utah with many more folks available. And we'll talk about that as the day moves along. Mark Dykton, Jeff Rickard today because, once again, Kevin Bowen is off on paternity leave after he and Maddie welcomed in their third wonderful child, Nellie, this past weekend, if you missed it yesterday. Caleb Zuber in here running the ones and twos today for Mark Dykton. Did you get does Mark give you like a college education class, like a board op in 101, producing 101?
It's a speed run, but it's a great speed run. It's prepared
How's it go?
It's prepared me great. I feel like a couple weeks ago I came in, did the show for a whole week, and doing it the last couple of days has been great. Mark's a great teacher, believe it or not.
Look at
Wow.
that. Well, that's what happens when you have three daughters at home.
How
You have to be
we got his mic on there? There
somewhat
we go.
savvy over there. So, yeah, 3 daughters will do that for you. And then, little do you know that I've actually sabotaged the board at some point.
What would Mrs. Dykton say about you being a great educational force here?
Don't ask me any math questions.
That's how that goes. Anyway.
Or what an adjective is and stuff like that. I don't remember.
We're off and running. And I suppose the big news this morning as the Colts get ready to get healthy and enjoy a week off, Pacers getting some good news. It looks like tonight it's questionable for T.J. McConnell, but he's been moved up to questionable and may be available before the road trip is over, if not tonight. Aaron Nesmith is going to be back, it looks like. Nemhart's going to be available, and Pascal Siakam has been taken off a short-lived stint on the injury report, which I think was really more about doing back-to-backs and things like that. So
you're telling me there's a chance?
I'm telling you there may be a chance moving forward. We still know that Obi Toppin is going to be out till probably February. That's not going to change at all. We know that Tyrese Halliburton is lost for the entire season. That hasn't changed at all. But they may be starting to get some guards back. They might have a point guard to go to at some point in time.
Is that a light at the end of the tunnel I see on this dark spiral that the Pacers season has started on?
What's the old cliche? As long as it's not the headlight of the train coming right at you, right?
Yeah. So that would be some good news. They could use some good news. That would be great. So we'll talk to Alex Golden a little bit later on today to just get his thoughts on where the season has gone so far. And when they start getting some healthy bodies back, does that change how this team starts playing? Because obviously one win through the start of the season, not great, and you try to wrap up this road trip. Can you get away with at least a win here in these last 2 games before you return on Saturday to Gainbridge? We'll see. But, it would be nice to get some healthy bodies on there.
And I want to point out, too, they're still not in as big a hole right now as they were when they were 10-25. Or what? I guess they were 10-15 last year. They're never 10-25, were they?
I don't think so.
No.
You have to win a lot of games to get back to 10 and 15.
Again, the math is not mathing, but they're in a big hole. They're going to have to try to climb out. And there are a lot of people that are already starting to talk, and it's not the Indiana Pacers way, so I don't expect that it's going to start right now. But all of a sudden, I was reading a bunch of articles this morning, Mark, where national pundits are like, maybe this is a good thing for the Pacers. They can get a top 4 draft pick possibly if they go into the lottery and have one of the worst records in the league, and end up getting a good player from what is supposed to be a really deep class this year, and then retool with Tyrese Halliburton coming right back, and you have most of the NBA Finals team intact again.
I do think there is some Pacers positivity that we can dive into during the show today, because there are some bright spots here, and one of the things for sure that I feel like went under the radar just because we were all so invested in the postseason run that they went on and getting in the finals is there's that trade that took place, I think it was right in the middle of the finals, and everybody's like scratching their head like, what the hell? What are they doing a trade in the middle of the finals for? But when they traded the Pelicans, the rights to Mojave King and their first-round pick of 2025, they reacquired their own 2026 first-round pick, and that is coming up large all of a sudden considering everything that's happened since the finals took place, since that trade went down, because now you're looking at it and you're like, well, now you might be looking at a top 3 pick or a lottery pick at the very least, but you might be looking at a top 3 pick, and there's some deep talent in there. So that trade that went under the radar back in June, all of a sudden massive as we're already into November and kind of like, okay, this might not be going great, but all of a sudden you're, well, they reacquired their pick that they lost in the Pascal Siakam trade, and all of a sudden you're, okay. That ends up being a pretty big trade that happened in June that no one was really paying attention to.
It might be a long regular season, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, they're starting to get healthy, and like I said, this group here, if they can stay together and stay healthy, and it'll be nice when Obi Toppin gets back, and it's going to be a big dent in the front court without him, and hit the minutes that he provides and the things that he's able to do. Originally, assuming no further injuries, I was a guy that said 41-41, right? And people were laughing at me. I don't know they can win 30 games right now the way things have been going with the injuries, but at least you get this group back intact together, and you got a shot at winning most nights. A shot at winning most nights. I'm not going to say you're the favorite most nights, but you got a shot.
Oh, yeah, it's the NBA, so you anyone can win on any given night. But, yeah, I agree that your projection couldn't have projected the amount of injuries and everything that they've had to go. When you're pulling guys off the street and just plug them into the starting lineup and everything, no one could have seen that coming at all. So I do think that's also another benefit of kind of the injury bug that's happening right now is we kind of knew this season was going to be not necessarily a wash, but we knew that it wasn't going to lead to what we saw last season. So you're like, okay, well, no Tyrese, Miles is gone. Can we get some decent run from guys and see them step up? I think now with the injuries, you're seeing even more opportunities for guys that wouldn't have seen the amount of minutes that they're getting. All of a sudden, okay, can we build on this? Can these guys going forward when Tyrese comes back healthy, can they be players and role players going forward, when we flip to next season and all that stuff? So I do think there are some bright spots, and it was not been a very good start to the season.
I'm going to give you your moment in the sun here because,
I've been waiting.
Most of America
I've been waiting.
While most of America was watching kind of a dull, boring Monday Night Football game last night between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, Philadelphia winning that game in Green Bay. By the way, Packers have lost 2 home games in a row. How about that?
They suck, Jeff.
I'm guessing your attention was diverted elsewhere.
A little bit, yeah. Well, we were doing a 2-screen TV night, so we do have the ESPN app because they gave us a deal on it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it. So I would have been blacked out of Monday Night Football, but we had Monday Night Football going. We had some wrestling going on, which the girls were very excited about.
But a landmark night last night in wrestling.
It was
correct?
a good one. It was a good one.
What happened? Fill us in.
So John Cena had 4 nights left of his WWE career.
I love this. How old is John Cena now?
He's got to be in his 40s. He's mid-40s.
I love the fact that wrestlers can thrive into their 40s.
He is 48 years old. John Cena putting in work. So 4 dates left. Last night was in his hometown of Boston, so there's a big homecoming celebration and all that. And the one title he had never won throughout his career was the Intercontinental Championship. Lo and behold, the heel, Dominic Mysterio, comes out, starts taunting him in his hometown arena. He is the Intercontinental Champion. He comes out and says, any other night, you might have the last word, but I'm invincible tonight. He faces him for the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena is a Grand Slam champion. He won the Intercontinental Championship. That was great to see. That was very cool. So that was a very fun night of Monday Night Raw. And it was also very fun on Monday Night Football because the Green Bay Packers looked dreadful at Lambeau Field, and that game was a bit of a slog. Matt LaFleur not quieting any of the
Green Bay Packer fans on social media want him out.
It is growing.
They want him out.
It is growing that, Matt LaFleur
that's
is
the
not
one
liked.
drop he showed you, right?
That's about all I got in the arsenal over here, yeah.
Matt LaFleur is not gaining any fans in Green Bay, and Jordan Love had just some terrible plays yesterday, and then their kicker just stinks. So that warmed my heart. It was not a very well-played game, but a 10-7 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are getting away with false starts left and right on that tush push.
That was crazy.
They got a guy that's a full yard downfield, and they didn't call the offsides on that.
Isn't it amazing that it took us that long to figure, why does this play work so well?
Yeah.
And it was literally a couple weeks ago in that Kansas City game where they're like, because their entire offensive line is starting to move forward before the ball's even snapped.
Because the left guard has already headbutted the other player on the opponent. Yeah, that is getting very egregious. And even they're like, wow, look at the tush push work. I'm like, yeah, no bleep. Look how much of a false start they're getting. So the NFL is going to have to evaluate that at some point because, or you're going to have to be able to challenge it or something because it's getting ridiculous. But, yeah, for the time being, it is still legal and they're still using it to their advantage. But instant replay don't lie. Those guys are jumping off left and right.
I have an A.D. Mitchell update.
Oh, please, I've been waiting.
He might be the lone legitimate NFL wide receiver left on the New York Jets. Garrett Wilson has been diagnosed with a knee injury. He's going to avoid surgery, but he's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks. He might get throws just because they have no one else to throw to.
He might be a 10-target night for him coming up because, yeah, they are banged up and they're not looking good. It's not good for New York football in general. Do you see Brian Dable got launched yesterday as well? So he's out. The Jets are miserable. It's good times in New York.
New York football is just miserable in general.
Yeah.
It's just miserable in general.
So now it's Mike Kafka time. And yeah, Brian Dable, I think, is a very good offensive coordinator. I don't think he's a very good head coach. So I'll be
seems
curious
to not have the temperament to be a head coach.
And I'll be curious to see where he ends up, going for, because he is going to get another job, not a head coaching job necessarily, but where he ends up and how he develops a quarterback in that next team is going to be fascinating.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today. We'll get the check down coming up in just a moment. We have a roster of guests coming up this morning. We'll talk about Pacers and Colts, correct?
Correct, yeah. Jake Arthur going to join us at 8 o'clock to talk a little Colts at the bye week. And then Alex Golden going to hop on at 9 o'clock, assess the Pacers, and could they get some healthy bodies and all that going forward.
All right, it's all straight ahead. A big morning for you here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. The Fan Morning Show without Kevin Bowe, without James Boyd, who's on his way back from Europe today. I think that's the plan, right? Who knows?
That's what I know. That's what I've heard.
The way things are going at the airports, who knows? But we'll check it all out as we continue right now on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Welcome into your Tuesday morning here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan, along with Caleb Zuber on the ones and twos, Mark Dykton. I'm Jeff Rickard. We've got Kevin Bowen on paternity leave, and we've got James Boyd on a plane back from Europe right now. Indianapolis Colts are already back home and getting ready to enjoy their bye week, and they are right now tied for the best record in the NFL, Mark Dykton, at 8-2 with the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. Those are your three best records in the NFL right now.
Who would have put that on their NFL docket to start the season? Nobody. Not a soul.
No.
You'd be making some good money, though, if you did.
You would be making some good money if you did right there. But the Colts have the week off. They will get ready to resume festivities in the National Football League against the Kansas City Chiefs November 23rd at Arrowhead Stadium. And I think in the second half of the season, we start to find out if all of this is real.
Mm-hmm.
If all of this is real.
Yeah, your schedule definitely ramps up as far as difficulties. So you are going to face some heavy hitters, not only just the Chiefs, but you've got some divisional games on the docket. You got the Seahawks, who are looking like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC right now. And you've also got the 49ers as well. So the difficulty ratchets up, and then we'll see what they can do. But yeah, some tough tests out of the bye. So we'll get some Shane Steichen sound as the show progresses. But he evaluated the team at the bye.
All right. Meanwhile, in the National Football League last night, Monday Night Football, Lambeau Field was not good to the Packers again. They lose their second consecutive home game.
Glorious.
This time to the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 10-7. The Eagles continuing to use the tush-push effectively, mostly because half the offensive line is already a yard upfield before the ball is ever snapped.
Yeah, we're starting to see how the tush-push is so effective. We're like, oh, well, you're just blatantly cheating right now. That's how that's working.
So that's what's happening in the National Football League. We can also tell you that college basketball last night, Missouri Valley Conference, Indiana State Sycamores, a winner over Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. I don't know that I ever knew that there was an Edwardsville branch of Southern Illinois until last night.
I knew there was, but yeah, the solid, sure. Sure.
Right.
I got to update my geography.
Yeah, Indiana State wins at 64-55. Ian Scott had 6 points but 13 rebounds as Indiana State now 2-1 on the young season. Speaking of college basketball right now, we've got a new number one in the first in-season edition of college basketball rankings, and Houston has jumped over Purdue to assume that number one spot. Purdue struggled a little bit during the second game of the season, but held on for an 87-77 win over Oakland. Boilers' first test of the season really comes against number 8 Alabama. That'll be on Thursday. 6 different teams received at least one first-place vote. Later on tonight, Butler Bulldogs in action. They'll be taking on Chicago State. You'll be able to hear that one, Mark, beginning at 6:30 p.m. on 92.7 Fuego FM. Fuego FM. That's because we'll have the Indiana Pacers tonight. The Pacers on the road, the third game of a 4-game road trip in Salt Lake City against the Utah Jazz. But good news, veteran point guard T.J. McConnell. He's been upgraded to questionable. Pascal Siakam and Aaron Nesmith are both off. I'm sorry, not Aaron Nesmith. Aaron Nesmith. They're both off the injured list right now. So those will all be available. And Andrew Nembhard should still be available. And you might have the general feeling of a real Indiana Pacers lineup tonight.
You might be able to recognize some faces on the roster tonight. That would be nice. Change of paces of what we've seen lately.
Yeah, and of course, still not going to have Tyrese Halliburton all season long. Won't have Obi Toppin until at least February, but that's some good news for the Indiana Pacers, and you'll be able to listen to that one tonight right here on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan starts at 8:30 p.m. So looking forward to that here on The Fan. Last night in the NBA, I don't know if you saw this, but did you see the game-winning alley-oop dunk?
I was watching it live,
for
Jeff.
the Miami Heat last night. 0.4 of a second remaining in their game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was overtime. It was tied at 138, and at the very end, Andrew Wiggins takes the inbounds pass off a little bit of a back cut. Somehow Cleveland left him open, and he got the unlikely alley-oop dunk as time expired to win in overtime.
That's as good of a regular season game as you're going to see.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of great games in the NBA last night.
Victor Wembanyama is an insane human being. that man looks like he shouldn't exist because, yeah, he put the team on his back. He had 38 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, and including the go-ahead three-pointer. Like 7'4", knocking down threes is just I can't fathom it still. My brain doesn't function. I'm seeing it with my eyes, but I'm not believing it with my brain.
Final score is 121-117. Who'd they beat?
The Bulls.
The Chicago Bulls.
The Bulls are off to a good start. I haven't seen a single second of them, but they've been good from what I've been told.
By the way, the Jazz will be playing the second of a back-to-back home games. They lost at home to the Timberwolves last night by a score of 120-113. So we'll see how it all shakes out for the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers a little bit later on tonight. That's mostly what's happening in the world of college pro basketball and the National Football League. Anything else you want to throw in right now?
The only other one, 2016 World Series hero Kyle Hendricks, former Cub, retiring after 12 years. So he's hanging up the cleats, but hell of a career by him. Good job there. And then we had the Hockey Hall of Fame last night. One of my favorites of all time, Duncan Keith, getting inducted last night. Also, of the former Chicago Blackhawk getting into the Hall of Fame there. So good stuff in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, one other note, too. I don't know if you saw this. This is really crazy yesterday in the National Football League. You hear about players sometimes getting the random drug test. We saw a game-winning kicker get drug tested randomly all of a sudden. Broncos linebacker Alex Singleton had a random drug test, and because of that, they flagged a cancer diagnosis, and he had life-saving surgery.
Whoa.
How about that? He publicly announced yesterday the findings of an NFL drug test helped him learn that he had testicular cancer, said the test revealed he had elevated levels of hormone human chorionic gonadotropin, which raised a red flag that something was wrong. From there, he made an appointment with a doctor, got his diagnosis, underwent surgery to remove the cancerous tumor last Friday. That followed the Broncos' Week 10 Thursday night victory against the Raiders. So how about that?
That's unbelievable. But that shows the importance that even, a drug test, everybody rolls their eyes, but sometimes they find things in there, good and bad.
Yes. So that's what's going on. All right.
Happy Veterans Day, by the way, before we get going there.
It's already the 11th. I can't believe that.
So thank you for all your servicemen and women. We really appreciate it. So thank you for the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, my stepfather served. He was much older than my mom, but he served in World War II and didn't really ever talk about a lot of the stuff that went on there. And then my uncle served on a U.S. Navy ship in the 60s.
Yeah, my grandfather was in the Korean War, so we always think about him. He's been gone 20 years now, which is insane to think about. But 20 years, I think actually yesterday was 20 years that he's been gone. But we're thinking about him a little bit today. But, we appreciate everything you guys do out there and very much appreciate it.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll get back to talking about the National Football League. Is there really a great team out there, and does that bode well for the Indianapolis Colts? We'll talk about it next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. There you go, Mark Dankton.
I love it, Caleb. You're warming my old wrestling heart right now.
Yeah.
You might lose your spot if you're not
song.
careful.
I've already updated the LinkedIn. I'm assuming this job is no longer mine. Caleb has taken over the last 3 shows. I'm assuming I'm out of a job after today.
We got a text from Kenny during the break who says that very surprised to see the Chiefs are minus 9.5 over the Colts on covers.com. I've never heard of covers.com.
No, I was checking like the actual like betting apps. I'm like, I don't see this anywhere where you can place it, 2 weeks out and everything, because I would have jumped all over the Colts and the 9.5 if that was the case. But apparently, yeah, covers.com. Can you bet on there? I don't know. But that is a surprising number for me. I don't know how you feel about that, but 9.5 points considering this Colts team is 8-2. And I know the Chiefs are the Chiefs, but 9.5 points, that seems like a tall number.
We'll see how it all comes out with the majority of the sports books by the time we get to game week. The only thing I could think that goes into that right now is I think if you think that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons were putting pressure on Daniel Jones, the Chiefs have a completely different level of defensive line right now, anchored by Chris Jones, who also does a pretty good job of stopping the run. And Kansas City right now, with Rashee Rice returning, they look like the offensive juggernaut that they have been in the past. So I think that's probably a little high, to be honest with you. I would have expected it to be more like 4.5, something like that.
9.5 is shockingly high for me.
If that's true, go find it.
Yeah, because if you could get it, jump on it, because 9.5, that's reserved for like the Chiefs against the Jets or something like that. The Chiefs Colts, I would not expect to open up at 9.5 when the actual Week 12 games come out, because that is a big number. I know Steve Spagnuolo is a hell of a DC. He's going to scheme stuff up to try to get that offensive line of the Colts on more shaky ground and try to disrupt what Daniel Jones is doing, but 9.5 is a big number. That's like blowout numbers in the NFL.
What do you guys think by the time we get to this time next week? What do you think that line will actually be?
I'm with Jeff. I think it'd be more like 4.5. I think you usually get 3 when you're at home anyway, so I would say the Chiefs get a slight uptick just because they're starting to turn it on a little bit. So 4.5, maybe 5.5, but 9.5 is insane.
Yeah. One of the things I look at the NFL right now, I don't know that Kansas City may be emerging again. I still don't know they have a stud running back. I mean, Kareem Hunt is great in short yardage. Pacheco never seems to be available for more than 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row. And I don't know what their running game is. But again, you get Rashee Rice, some of those other receivers, and certainly Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes is going to feel pretty good about that stuff. Their defense is playing really well. But I don't know that there is a dominant NFL team this year, and I think that bodes well for the Indianapolis Colts because New England, they're new on the scene, and Drake May is one of the favorites for MVP, and I get it, and Mike Vrabel can coach, but I don't think that you're getting ready for a game against New England, whoever you are this week. I don't think you're just like shivering like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? You take a look at the Denver Broncos. I've told you before, I think their offense is fraudulent. Their defense might be the best in the league, but I think they're going to have problems in the playoffs. The Chargers, they just vary. There's a lot of variance in their performance.
I always like the Chargers, but they always do things at the end of the season where you're like, what happened? You had such a big lead. What happened there?
They have won 3 in a row.
And I love Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. He's very entertaining. He's getting the best out of Justin Herbert, but I still don't trust the Chargers. I've been scorned before, so I don't know if I fully trust them. But yeah, as far as the AFC in general is concerned, there are no dominant teams. The Bills randomly lost to the Dolphins last week
after beating the Chiefs the week before.
I know. So I don't know what happened there. So it's very odd. The Ravens are starting to find themselves, but their defense is not good. The Steelers are taking steps back. It's wide open in the AFC. I said that earlier, that you look at the top 3 teams that are in there right now. It's the Patriots, the Colts, and the Broncos. Nobody would have had that at the start of the season, but that just tells you how wide open the AFC is. If we're going all-encompassing or including the NFC, I think the Seahawks might be the best balanced team.
The Rams are coming on strong.
The Rams are coming on strong as well, but I would say the Seahawks or the Rams are the 2 most balanced teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and Detroit, I don't know what to take of that win they had over the Washington Commanders. I mean, Washington's really struggling right now. Marcus Mariota is playing quarterback, and it just looked like Jamar Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, they could just do whatever they wanted against.
Yeah, the Commanders are done. The Lions are once again using their potent offense. Their defense is still nothing to write home about, but the Lions are the front runners for the NFC North for a reason. Everyone else is kind of trying to play catch-up. But yeah, I trust Dan Campbell in that offense to keep it rolling throughout the rest of the season.
Don't you guys think that this conversation we're having is what made last week really important at the Colts?
Yes.
I think that's the part of the reason that they made the move. It's there. There's not someone you're scared of in your conference, maybe the Chiefs, but if you can get them at home, you like your chances. I just think it all goes back to yes. And I just think it goes back to last week and why the Colts did what they did is because it is wide open, and you didn't see anyone in the NFL make as big of a swing as the Colts did at the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. And I also think, obviously the expectations and projections of what we had the Colts heading into the season versus now are totally different. That's why I'm also kind of curious. We're at the bye week now. They're 8-2, one of the best teams in the AFC. Expectation-wise, what is your expectations for the team going forward? It could be anything. Is it just winning the AFC South? Is it beating at Jacksonville? Is that the big marker for you? Getting the AFC Championship game? What are expectations? I am curious to see because I know mine have obviously adjusted. I'm sure everyone's have, but 317-239-1070. Hit us up on the text line or give us a phone call. Let us know expectations at this point. What would you be disappointed about, as a Colts fan? If they don't get to this thing, in my mind, it'll be a disappointing season or it'll be a letdown.
I think they need to have at least a playoff win. The way things are, they're sitting there at 8-2 right now. Give me at least a playoff win.
So I think my expectation where I will be let down is if they don't at least get to the AFC divisional round. Whether that's a wild card win and you're in, or you already get the bye and you're in there. If you don't get at least there, I think I will be let down given the 8-2 record. So a divisional round appearance, not necessarily a win, but if a divisional round appearance, I think is where my expectations are at this point.
If they go 12-5 and 13-4 and don't win a home playoff game, I'm going to be bummed.
That's also fair too.
I also think when we get the divisional round, I feel like the usual suspects in the AFC are going to be there, and so you're going to step up in class big time with the likes of, I think, the Bills. I think the Ravens are going to make it. The Chiefs are going to do Chiefs things. So when you start getting those heavy hitters in the playoffs, that's going to be obviously the truly big test for Shane Steichen and crew, and I'm curious to see how they stack up. So my expectation at this point is divisional round. Again, whether it's a win or a loss, you at least are there.
I think for me, it's winning the division right now. I think, and you're right, Mark, just kind of reassess once you get to the playoffs. You cannot.
No.
You cannot blow this division.
No.
You can't.
Somebody just sent us the line on CBSSports.com, their sports line. Colts are 8.5-point underdogs to the Chiefs on that particular site right now.
I might go there right now. I'm not a betting man, but
that was Todd that sent that into us.
Might have to go do that.
Bob says winning a home playoff game is my expectation at this point.
Thank you, Bob.
I don't know the name here, but he's chiming in on the text line. Says, my expectation is to win the AFC South. The ultimate disappointment would be missing the playoffs altogether. And then
it would be huge if they miss the playoffs at this point altogether. That would be huge.
That would be a monumental fault. Yeah, that would be a huge disappointment because at 8-2, even if you go 4-4 the rest of the way, that's still 12 wins. You shouldn't be sniffing anything close to missing the division. Either that or the Jaguars are catching an ultimate heater all of a sudden, or the Texans are finally putting it on or something. Gary in Noblesville says the next 5 weeks will tell us if we're going to what we're going to do in the playoffs. And again, Anthony who? Because he's still
why is Anthony getting a stray out?
I don't know.
Anthony Richardson the story is what it is. He's not going to be the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts.
I haven't thought about Anthony Richardson.
I hope his eye is okay, though. I hope that's progressing nicely.
Matt C says Super Bowl or bust. Well, yeah, obviously that would be the ultimate goal of all 32 teams. But, my expectation is division round. Division round or bust. I won't go Super Bowl.
Purdue USI dad says AFC division round, but still hate the Colts. Still haven't played hardly any division teams. Well, it's not like the division teams are tearing
you play who's on the schedule, man. You got to do it. So you've taken care of business.
Who scares you right now of Houston, Jacksonville, and Tennessee?
Well, not Tennessee at all. And the Jaguars are doing Jaguars things. The Texans maybe, I guess, but that also depends on if C.J. Stroud is healthy, and he's had quite a sophomore slump.
Oh, the Titans. We're done with the Titans, though. So.
Oh, Titans. Yeah, no chance at all. No issue, no concern at all for the Titans. Titans are already looking at tankathon.
No, I'm just
for
saying
draft
we've already completed our schedule.
They're
against the
circling
Titans.
Fernando Mendoza potentially. Like, I don't know if this Cam Ward's going to shake out. Maybe we should look at Fernando.
Now, I agree with Matt C. here, who says Super Bowl or bust, but you got to win in Jacksonville. Like, just go get a win in Jacksonville, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe that's your expectation. Maybe that's how you can tell that the season's turning around is if they win at Jacksonville. I think James, before he went off to Berlin, said he thought they were still going to lose in Jacksonville. I'm like, really? After 8-2, we're going to still drop in Jacksonville? Let's hope not, but anything can happen in the NFL. Obviously, the Jaguars just lost to Davis Mills, so I'm not trusting the Jaguars to beat them again. One
of the things we are concerned about right now is pass protection. Whether it's something Daniel Jones is doing, whether it's the front line not being able to pick up blitzes, whatever it is, they have been under siege, and Daniel Jones has been letting go of the football the last 2 weeks against Pittsburgh and against Atlanta both. That has been problematic. There's no question about that. Yesterday, Shane Steichen talked about his level of concern with pass protection and the number of sacks right now.
I don't have a huge level of concern. I think, when you see the stat line of sacks, I think every sack has a story to it. And I always look at myself first, and there's certain calls that I could have called better to put our guys in better position so those don't happen. So that's on me. Those things that happened in the game, I got to do better, for those guys.
Matt T. also says, Jeff, I'm glad they pulled that one out because to his point about Steichen taking responsibility there, if not that if they had lost that game against Atlanta, it was 100% on Steichen. His desire to go for it on fourth down inside the 30 is going to cause losses. He is just a slave to analytics and needs to get a feel for the game. Some of that's true, but also they've been very successful on some of these fourth downs as well.
They have, and we can dive into that too because he addressed the fourth down aggressiveness and everything earlier today or yesterday. And yeah, just discuss they're looking at everything there, but he trusts the guys to get the job done and everything. I understand that from a coaching perspective, but as a fan or just watching the game, you're kind of like in games like where it's super close and it's going to come down to maybe a play here or a play there. Sometimes you just have to bite your tongue and take the points. And I know you might not trust Michael Badgley completely, but at some point you have to figure out, we have to trust our kicker at some point because we're going to need him down the stretch, especially in the playoffs. Games come down to a one-score game. You're going to need to start making field goals. So I understand the aggressiveness. I know that's the new thing to do in the NFL these days, but at some point, you just need to take the points at some point.
Well, he said yesterday not even thinking about changing kickers at this point in time.
No, and that doesn't surprise me at all.
And I was thinking about this morning, too. One of the things you don't want to get into, and I know he's missed 2 extra points, and those are the things that worry me the most, and he was a little shy on a long field goal, and I get all that. But what I don't like, and I see this with teams sometimes, is when they get into this just a revolving door of kickers and tryouts every Tuesday. That doesn't help anybody, and I don't think it does anything good. It's like you're just going through things hoping – it's like the general manager that just keeps drafting quarterbacks in the top 3 spots of every draft, hoping that one of them is going to stick at some point in time, ignoring the fact that the guys you're choosing were risky to begin with, and then trying to sell it. Well, people were saying good. No. Sometimes you'll draft a mediocre quarterback because it's a poor quarterback class, and you happen to be drafting in the top 2 or 3 and need a quarterback.
Yeah. It's a complete crapshoot, and there's guys that every expert will say, this is the number 1 guy. You have to take this guy or you're an idiot. And then you take him and he doesn't turn out, and then the guy you passed on, he turned out. Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah.
A la C.J. Stroud versus Bryce Young. Travis said, giving Daniel Jones a contract extension would be my disappointment in this Colts season.
Well, you wait
he's
until
not
the
aboard
end of
the
the
Daniel
year
Jones
anyway.
train.
You wait until the end of the year to figure out what you want to do with Daniel Jones.
And even then, if you can't agree on a contract extension, you can always just franchise tag him and you figure it out from there.
Well, the question starts to become too, if Daniel Jones continues to have rocky performances like he's had the last couple of weeks, where look, at the Atlanta game he was mostly solid but still made a few mistakes. The Pittsburgh game he was awful. Does he become your Kirk Cousins at some point in time? And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I always hated when people bashed on Kirk.
The point is it's not a bash.
I know you're not.
It's not a bash. But Kirk Cousins is never the quarterback that's going to completely elevate your team be a year-in, year-out Super Bowl contender. But he's also good enough to get you a bunch of wins.
I think he's good enough to get a bunch of wins. And I also think when everything around you is right and good and has talent, I think you can make a deep run right with,
But then
with
you
Kirk
get,
Cousins.
But then you go back to, okay, are we going to win? Are we going to continue then in the Kirk Cousins vein to be the 10 or 11 win team every year that loses in the first round of the playoffs?
Right.
Fair question.
And you get stuck in that purgatory.
He's
right?
a guy that you could win with, but not win because of.
And by the way, that's exactly where Josh Allen and the Bills are right now, too.
Yeah.
For all the things that we love to say, and I'm a big fan of Josh Allen, but for all the things we love to say about Josh Allen, and people can say whether it's McDermott that's holding him back or whatever, they haven't gotten it done yet.
Well, look, just go look around the league at some of the teams that have had to pay their quarterbacks recently and how, like, the top of the line money and how it's just affected the rosters around them. Like, Josh, you're never going to count the Bills out of winning the conference, but, like, who does he have to throw to right now? He doesn't have any playmakers on the outside. Colts right now, you're getting away with paying a quarterback on a rookie contract, and Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, which was, what, $17 million was the contract? Like, if you can keep it down, I know he's going to have to get paid this offseason to retain him, but if it's not that top-of-the-line money, you can still really extend Pierce, do some of the other extensions that they need to do. So
here's what it
it's
comes down to. Here's the bottom line in the AFC for probably the next 5 to 7 years. Does your quarterback have the stones to go head-to-head on the road in January in Kansas City against Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
For the next 5 to 7 years, that's not changing, guys.
No. They can.
And Josh Allen is not. He's been able to win regular season games, but he hadn't been able to get it done in the postseason. And we've seen, not because of him necessarily. I mean, I think of that classic game a couple years ago in the playoffs where both of them scored in the final 30 seconds of the game.
One of the greatest playoff games of all time. Yeah, even if the Chiefs do have like an off season, it seems like if you're not going to Kansas City, you're going to Buffalo probably. So you need to be able to play in hostile environments and everything. And again,
or Gillette in New England now.
Yeah, we kind of wrote off the Patriots the last few years, but all of a sudden now, Gillette Stadium, what a pain in the ass it is to get to that stadium. Dude, that stadium is in the middle of nowhere.
It's worse getting out.
It's awful.
It's worse getting out.
We went in the offseason. I'm like, this is a chore.
If you go to a football game at Gillette, the grounds are fine. It's like the stadium is attached to a big entertainment complex.
It's like a mall.
It's a mall. It's a movie theater. It's everything. Yeah. Once you're on site, it's fine. But it's going to take you, if you live in Boston, first of all, it's going to take you 2 hours to get to the stadium. Yep. Getting out, it's going to take 3 hours to get back home. One of the things I love about Indianapolis, game starts at 1. I don't leave my house until 11:45. I get to the seat in plenty of time for kickoff, and I'm home by 5 o'clock. I can watch the second half of the afternoon games.
Yeah, you might as well be living in Providence, Rhode Island to be able to get to the Patriots Stadium where it is in vicinity to Boston.
No, and paying season ticket holder makes a good point, and I realize this about myself. And Mark, you know what my personal motto is, and I'll share it with everybody in a moment here. He says, seems kind of funny that you're talking about Daniel Jones losing in the first round of the playoffs. We haven't even made it to the playoffs yet. Once we make it to the playoffs, me being a season ticket holder, going to celebrate, and then I'll hope for an extension. Laugh out loud. And my motto is, and will always be, all I ever want's a little more than I'll ever get.
That's a solid mantra right there.
Okay. And it starts now.
That can apply to a lot of things. Sam from Newcastle says this is also Jones' first year in the offense. He can potentially get better the longer he's in it. I agree. I think he and Shane are meshing well. They seem to be football robots. So, when you can come, you can do the thing where you put the phones together and you have the AI talk to each other. That's kind of what Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones are, just AI football robots.
Who has time to put two phones together and have AI talk to each other?
Oh, well, you haven't been on Instagram or TikTok, my friend. You got to check that out where the robots are talking to each other.
No, I've seen where humans are talking to each other. I've never seen the robots talking to each other.
That's fascinating, where they realize, are you AI? Yes, I am AI. Are you AI? Yes, I am. And they're just talking.
No, they going on a date afterwards or what?
I don't know. Crossing their circuits or something. But no, Shane and Daniel have found their football wives, I guess you could say. They are attached at the hip at the moment. They're finding the best out of each other. So can that keep going? We saw the little bit of slip-ups the last couple weeks from Daniel Jones. Shane Steichen doesn't seem overly concerned. We can dive into that as well a little bit later on. But looks like they're just going to do a self-scout at the bye week, which is the right thing to do, him and the coaching staff. Get in the lab, see what's going wrong in the last 2 weeks with the offensive line and Daniel Jones, and try to right the ship as they get ready for the Kansas City Chiefs, which, again, there's no way that line is 9.5.
No
way. There's zero chance.
8.5 on CBS Sports.
Yeah, but you can't bet on CBS. I need places that you can actually bet money on.
You could probably bet anywhere, I would guess.
Someone said the Chiefs and Broncos this week is that the Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites against the Broncos, and I'm like, and they would be 9.5-point favorites against the Colts. That can't be.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing with the Broncos. The reason, and I'll tell you this from a betting perspective, the Broncos all season long, you're never going to see big lines one way or the other, because nobody knows what their offense is going to do, but that defense is nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll keep it close.
That defense is nasty.
Yeah. Now, can Bo Nix show up before the fourth quarter? That'd be also nice.
That would be nice.
Especially for my fantasy team, because there's time I'm like, should I bench you? What are you doing?
See, 317 gets it. This is my point. He says the fact that you're comparing Josh Allen with Kirk Cousins is crazy. The Bills have gotten to the precipice of the AFC Championship twice because of amazing games by Josh Allen. He's missing my point. The point is, I love Josh Allen. He happens to be my favorite quarterback in the NFL right now. I love watching him play. I'm angry every day that one or two of my teams didn't take a chance on Josh Allen when they had the opportunity. My point is, until you can determine that you are capable of beating Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, everybody's playing for second place until you can get over that hump. And right now, he has not been able to take the Bills to the promised land.
You know, there's only 3 quarterbacks that have done that. It's Brady, Burrow, and Jalen Hurts. Those are the only teams to beat Mahomes in the postseason. I mean, that's crazy to think about.
He's in the postseason every single year.
It's unbelievable. He's made the Super Bowl so many times. He's won it 3 times already. It's crazy.
Pat from Russia, Ohio says, my buddy's father-in-law says Mahomes is washed and the Chiefs are done. Can we talk some sense in it? Boy, if that's washed, what Patrick Mahomes is doing, I'll take that version every single day and twice on Sunday. He's still very good. He's never beaten the Colts. That's also
In
another
the
thing to
regular
consider.
season, yeah.
Never
that's
beaten
true.
the Colts yet.
He also points out that if your definition of a good quarterback, no, I'm talking about a great quarterback. I'm talking about somebody. Yeah, the king is Patrick Mahomes. The only conversation that exists in the AFC is who is going to continuously give you a chance to beat Patrick in a postseason game. Right?
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to.
And my point is, he says, if your definition of that quarterback is someone better than Josh Allen to hopefully beat Kansas City, you will be disappointed forever. And I said, that's my point exactly. That's exactly my point. Because right now, until proven otherwise, everybody else in the AFC is playing for second place.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about that because the Chiefs have looked like pretty
the first half of the season, they look pedestrian.
They've looked pretty vulnerable, and I just think the regular season is measured differently for them than it is every other team in this league. I mean, they showed us that last year, even just winning all those close games and not looking great in them. I think the year before that, they had a slow start and still wound up winning the championship. So their regular season is judged way differently than everybody else's.
And as a Josh Allen fan, I was really disappointed in his performance against the Miami Dolphins this past week.
It was very weird.
That was an out. I'm sure that's an outlier, and he'll bounce back. I wouldn't be shocked if he throws for like 380 yards and 5 touchdowns in one of the next 2 games.
It was one of those weird Sundays in the NFL where just things happen where like that seems odd. Like the Saints beating the Panthers and the Bills looking terrible against the Dolphins. So it was a weird Sunday.
Before we get to break 2, part of the problem with Kansas City is also Andy Reid. A lot of times in the postseason, you're playing a team for the second time that year. You don't want to be playing Andy Reid for the second time in a year.
No. Let's reset at the bye. Let's get ready for Kansas City. And if that line is truly 9.5, boy, I can't wait to spend some money.
All right, we'll talk Colts with Jake Arthur coming up next. Keep those texts coming. I appreciate them at 239-1070 on the fan text line. More in a moment here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. This is crazy right here, Caleb. I was watching a Blondie Debbie Harry documentary last night.
Wow.
How crazy
So
is that? I watched that last
coincidence.
night.
You guys sharing passwords here? How's he know
Absolutely
that?
not.
I don't know. I'm starting to worry a little bit now.
What's on your watch list?
I don't know. I didn't go looking for it. You know how sometimes you just stumble upon something and then find, like 20 minutes later, you're still there?
Yeah. You're like, oh, I didn't know this was out. Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's crazy stuff. Anyway, the Indianapolis Colts, they are off this week. They have the bye week. They get there with an 8-2 record, tied for the best record in the National Football League. They come off an overtime win in Berlin. A crazy day for Jonathan Taylor. Lots to talk about, a lot ahead. And here to tell us more about it, Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts, the podcast, joins us here on the Fan Morning Show on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Good morning, Jake Arthur. What's the last music documentary you watched?
Oh man, I don't know if I've ever specifically watched a music documentary, but I mean, I know I watched that Queen movie, the Freddie Mercury movie.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Detroit
yeah.
Rock City about Kiss was amazing, but that's a blast from the past there.
Well, if you're interested at all, one of the best I've ever seen was on the Eagles. Check that one out. That's a good one.
Okay.
But anyway, we're here to talk football right now. The Colts make it to the bye week with an 8-2 record. In your wildest dreams, back on August 15th, if I'd have said, Jake, don't worry. The Colts are going to turn to Daniel Jones. They're going to be 8-2 at the break, and they're going to have the best plus-minus of anybody in the NFL. You would have told me what?
No, I would have thought that would be extremely unlikely. I thought the floor for this team was about 7-10 with a ceiling of 10-7, so they're about to beat that. The strength of schedule is, generous. I think they had one of the top 10 quote unquote easiest schedules, but seeing the Rams and Broncos and 49ers and Seahawks and Chargers and some of those teams on there, I figured, at this point for them to be 8-2 is pretty wild, but Jones, I mean, has also kind of exceeded even the most optimistic of our expectations, I think. Now, obviously, the last couple weeks have been pretty bumpy, but I was impressed with his ability to bounce back and make like the absolute clutch throws that needed to be made late in that game, because him kind of just turning into a pumpkin and just turning inside of himself, kind of like the Steelers game. If that would have happened last week, I don't know that they win without those couple clutch throws that he made down the stretch.
Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts joining us on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Jake, we talked about it in the last segment of the show. Just kind of expectations going forward for this team. They're 8-2 now at the bye. No one had that projected ahead of the season, so we're trying to see, like, fan-wise, what are expectations going forward? Like, what level will they have to reach for you not to be disappointed? I said a divisional round appearance at this point. Not necessarily a win, but getting the division round of the playoffs is where mine is. What would you say yours is?
Yeah, absolutely, because the playoffs feel like a foregone conclusion at this point. Like, they would have to have an epic meltdown. And then so to go into wild card weekend and lose, that would be a disappointment. Now, again, they exceeded expectations by essentially becoming a playoff team already, but that was the preseason expectations. For me, I'm a guy where expectations, they need to be renewed every couple weeks, like, what have you done for me lately? And this team has shown that they should be, one of the top 5 teams in the league right now. So a first-round exit would feel inexcusable at this point. I mean, luckily for them, they're still atop the AFC standing, so they could control their own destiny. They could get that first-round bye and automatically get into the divisional round. They could get home field advantage. Like, there's a lot they can do. You beat Kansas City. You've got 4 division games left. Like, that kind of stuff really sorts out tiebreakers when you get to the nitty-gritty. And, of course, they're tied with New England and Denver for that top record atop the AFC. So there is a lot they could do to really kind of grab a stranglehold on the AFC playoff road going through Lucas Oil.
Jake Arthur, Locked On Colts, joining us here on the Fan Morning Show. How concerned should we be with pass protection and the ability to hang on to the football in the pocket by Daniel Jones right now?
Yeah, it's definitely concerning, but it's all correctable as well. I think now 2 weeks in a row we've seen defenses are being super aggressive and bringing pressure, And oftentimes they're bringing more pressure than there are blockers. So Shane Steichen, 2 weeks in a row now, has seen and admitted there's more he could do to put them in a better position. And whether they like it or not, I think they're going to have to go into heavier sets, even more 12 and 13 personnel, but keeping some of those tight ends to block rather than go out on routes. But that's just going to have to be what they do, because the pressure that was getting to Jones early in the season, I think there were extra rushers coming, but the offensive line and Jones were responding to it better than they are now. So I just think that they're going to have to kind of suck it up, and until they kind of prove to be able to pass those tests again, they're just going to have to kind of use the heavy personnel to counter that. And I mean, they want to run out of that anyways also, but I do think that's concerning. And then as far as Jones and his ball security goes, that's another thing. There's 2 weeks of tape now where defenders know if you get in the neighborhood of Jones, rather than going for the sack, you go and swat for that ball because he's holding it low and with one hand. So that's very correctable for him if he just tucks the ball. It is easier said than done because, I mean, it's kind of the way you carry the ball when you're escaping pressure is just kind of an instinct thing. Like, it's just how you escape. You're not really thinking about the ball security of it all. Those things are correctable, but they're huge concerns as well. Like 7 turnovers from Jones in the last 2 weeks is absolutely wild because he had only turned the ball over in 2-3 weeks leading into the whole thing these last 2 weeks. So it's concerning, but the bye week came at the best time because this is the worst we've seen them look all season. Even the loss to the Rams, they didn't look like this. So lots of reflecting and self-scouting needs to go on here in this bye week.
Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts on the Payless Liquors hotline. We just touched a little bit on it between the offensive line and Daniel Jones. So they're at the bye, Jake. The one thing that Shane Steichen and the coaching crew need to get evaluated the most and try to get fixed. If you can only pick one thing that they work on, whether it's the offensive line, DJ's ball security, or is it something else, what would you chalk up as that needs to be top of the leaderboard? We need to get that fixed heading into the Chiefs game.
I would say the protection, because Jones' ball security isn't as big of a deal if he doesn't have extra rushers coming at him, So if they can figure out the pass protection stuff, it doesn't, it's looked pretty rough from the pass protection standpoint. But again, I think even all of us can see when there's pressure coming. I don't think there's some big secret thing defenses are doing to them. Like, they're showing pressure and then they're bringing it. So they're just going to have extra blockers in there. Even guys like, Tyler Warren maybe chipping more often. Jonathan Taylor's probably got to step it up a little bit in pass protection as well. He was lights out early in the year, but he's kind of had a couple gaps in pass protection these last couple weeks too. But Mo Alley Cox and Drew Ogletree, those guys are going to kind of have to be firmly planted on the line to help out with pass protection, because we've seen what it looks like with a clean pocket. Like, the offense is unbelievable and was on a historic pace. And even Sunday, they went over 500 yards. So you take care of the pass protection, that in turn kind of cleans up Jones' issues as well, because even the interceptions, it's like when he's pressing too hard and trying to make a play that maybe isn't necessarily there, and then he's making a bad throw into heavy coverage. So I think you take care of all those things, because the Colts' biggest issues this year on the offensive side of the ball, they look unbeatable if they're not turning the ball over. So you clean up the pass protection a little bit, and I think everything else kind of falls in place.
Jake, how healthy should the Colts be coming out of the bye? What are we looking at?
It should be looking better. I mean, you hope to get Tyquan Lewis and Samson Ebukam back, because right now they're having to rely on Darrell Nchami and JT Tuimoloau as their next rushers, and that's not exactly what they would plan to have in place. So you get those couple veterans back. Charvarius Ward, should be back when they return from the bye here against Kansas City. And that should look really, really interesting when you have Ward and Sauce Gardner together, obviously. DeForest Buckner is a big hit no matter what way you look at it. Hopefully he is able to get back by week 15 when he'll first be eligible out there in Seattle. But generally, they are pretty healthy. The guys that they do have out, with the exception of Buckner, I think should all be trending upward, and they should be getting, a lot more complete of a unit, especially on the defensive side. They've managed to kind of avoid big injury issues on offense so far, other than, the one-off games with, Alec Pierce missing with a concussion and things like that. But when they return from the bye, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Jake, last one for me. What did you think of Sauce Gardner's debut with the Colts?
I thought it was mostly good. Obviously slipping on the 2-point conversion, that kind of puts a spotlight on everything. But if you look at his game in totality, I thought he just carried a lot of weight just by being on the field. Him being out there kind of gives Lou Anarumo the confidence to bring more pressure because he's got an elite cover corner out there. Atlanta was clearly trying to avoid him and move Drake London kind of out of his gravity a little bit. That's why they kept moving London into the slot. And most of London's big plays came when Atlanta got him away from Sauce. So when you've got one really, really high-level cover corner out there, it really is invaluable to how it trickles down to everything else in the defense. But now when you bring Ward back here in a couple weeks, hopefully if he's able to be back, defenses can't really do that. I mean, Gardner is still going to be the top corner, but it's going to be a lot harder to hide guys. So overall, I thought Gardner's play was really good. He kind of baited Penix into that one play on third down where he nearly had the interception. He felt pretty confident he was going to get a pick six, which being a physically gifted player is one thing, but Gardner seems to be the type of guy where he's able to play kind of chess while others are playing checkers, a lot like Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore baits quarterbacks into a lot of mistakes, and it feels like Sauce is kind of that same caliber. So, you keep Sauce out there, keep him healthy, and then when you get everybody else back, I think it's going to be a really, really good defense.
Thanks for joining us and getting up early, Jake. We appreciate it. People can get your podcast just about anywhere. Podcasts can be downloaded. It's Locked On Colts, and always fun to listen to you guys after a game as well.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
There he is, right there. Jake Arthur, who I thought when he called him up and got him on the phone, I thought Caleb was he was just all over.
He was swooning.
All over Jake. He was.
Well,
he was swooning.
like, Jake's
like
great.
You were blushing when he answered the
It's
phone.
like when we have Pete Sampson on, Kevin gets all
it's just
hot in the britches.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I have a chance to be on this show and talk to some pretty cool people, and other than you guys, obviously. And so, yeah, I'm going to take the chance to say how great of a job Jake Arthur does.
He's very good.
I appreciate it. You got Jake on the phone, and you gave him 30 seconds of how wonderful he is, and it was fun to listen to. So there you go. No, the Colts, they got some work to do, some self-scouting as every team does during the bye week. That's just part of what you do there. You take a look back over your first 10 games. What do we like? What don't we like? What do we need to fix? And certainly there are a lot of things they need to fix along the offensive line, at least pass protection, and Daniel Jones is going to have to start taking care of the football better.
Yeah, I agree with Jake. I said yesterday as well that I think the bye week is hitting at the absolute perfect time because you're starting to see some chinks in the armor with the offensive line and Daniel Jones. So now you can self-scout, you can evaluate, look at the film over the last 10 games. Why was this working the first 8 games? What has gone wrong the last 2 games? And Shane Steichen and crew can help get those corrected and whatnot. And you're also going to get health on your side as well as you head into a huge game against Kansas City.
Yeah.
Going off our previous conversation real quick, Gabe chimed in, said, how many times on the road has the Super Bowl gone through Kansas City? The Colts need to win to secure home field. Ballard knows that this year, that's why he's going to go all in with the trade, plus Jones on a cheap contract, not paying Pierce yet, etc. We need to go all in on this season. I agree. Get home field, because it's either going to go through Kansas City or Buffalo. That's how it's been going the last few years. So take away one of those options if you can, if you're the Colts.
Yeah. And going into this bye week, too, Jaguars are going to be hosting the Chargers. Chargers could put they could be putting the Jaguars in a really big hole. Because if Jacksonville loses this game to the Chargers, they're 5-5. And that means both teams will have played 10 games, and that's a 3-game advantage. And you only get to play the Colts twice.
Is it crazy that I would be, if we're looking at just divisionally, I'm more concerned about the Texans than I'm about the Jaguars? Because I think if you get C.J. Stroud healthy and going again. The Jaguars, I mean, we saw it just on Sunday. They went down their leg against Davis Mills. I don't trust them against anybody anytime. So the Texans have at least been there, done that, and I think C.J. Stroud has obviously dealt with injuries and whatnot, but if they can get right a little bit, my concern is more with the Texans getting on a heater more than the Jaguars.
Conversely, though, if out of nowhere the Titans won their second game of the year, the Texans would be almost done. They'd be 4-6.
Yeah, the Texans are similar to the Ravens, where they've kind of put themselves in a hole where they can't really afford any more losses late in the season.
Breaks my
which
heart, by the way.
is a hell of a situation to be in as you're just getting the double digits in the week and stuff. But the Texans they have the Titans this week. Then they're home against the Bills. That's not going to be easy. They've also got the Colts twice. They're at the Chiefs. They're at the Chargers, and they also have the Raiders and Cardinals on the schedule. So that is a brutal schedule for the Texans as well, where they can't really afford too many more losses. That is a tough road to hoe if you're the Houston Texans.
You're talking about home field advantage, too, and as much as we've been pumping the Chiefs up this morning, should the Broncos get the home field victory against the Chiefs? And Denver's a tough place to win.
Altitude.
All of a sudden, the Chiefs are now 3 full games behind the Colts in the standings. I mean, you're starting to get into territory that's just really tough to make up.
Yeah, we're used to like the last few years where we're looking at, okay, if this team wins, and like we're starting to go through like the 10 options that had to work for the Colts to make the playoffs. Now you're kind of like, okay, how can we seed this better? Because now we're looking pretty good. How can we avoid playing?
That's a great point, Mark. We've come a long way.
It's a nice change of pace. Okay, we need the Raiders to lose, but we need the Chargers to win.
You want to hear
we need a tie between the Broncos and the Jets.
You want to hear what 31 teams are rooting for right now? 31 other teams are hoping that the Chiefs lose in Denver this week and then get upset by the Colts the next week.
That'd be huge. I mean, yeah, is that
because now they're starting to get into big trouble at that point in time.
Is that Broncos Chiefs game? Is that a prime timer?
That is going to be at 4:25. That'll be the CBS national game.
Oh, Jim, I think we got the Broncos and Chiefs coming. I can already hear Romo in my head.
Oh, he's shifting out wide. Watch this.
Oh God.
All right, that was fun when it lasted. The first few games
when it was brand new to everybody. Yeah, and then everybody's like, he's getting paid a lot of money not to do his homework. And now apparently they've talked to him. He's getting a little better, but give me Greg Olsen all the time.
All right, let's check things down. Tell you what's what right now. As we've been discussing all morning, the Colts are on a bye. They will play at Kansas City a week from Sunday. Hopefully they get real healthy there. We know DeForest Buckner is going to be out till at least week 15, but you hope to get some of the other guys back, Javarius Ward especially there. And Tyquan Lewis, it'd be nice to have him back as well, get some defensive line help there. But they've got another 8-9 days to figure that out before they put a full game plan in. Shane Steichen talked about the struggles recently of Daniel Jones yesterday.
I think he's been doing a really good job. I mean, we talk about moving the football up and down the field. I think obviously just having 2 hands on the ball in the pocket moving forward is a big part of it for us, and he understands that. But I still think he's been playing great for us. I mean, he played, I thought yesterday he did some really good things. Obviously a game-winning drive there, hitting Tyler. Some big time plays. He had some big time scramble plays in that game to keep the chains moving. I mean, 3rd and 21 there when we needed it, and he got it to 4th and 2, and obviously hit Tyler on the 4th and 2 there at the 40-yard line to set up the tying field goal to go to overtime. So, I think there's a lot of good there, and we just got to keep improving and getting better.
That's the one thing I will say about Daniel Jones. Despite the fact that he had trouble holding on to the football, he did make some really nice plays, and he did keep the offense moving. And I think he threw for about 255 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So it wasn't, it wasn't all bad.
No.
At all.
Again, this is a great time now. Okay, he's kind of struggled the last couple of weeks, Shane Steichen. Let's correct these mistakes before they turn into, New York City Daniel Jones. Let's get these corrected as we head in the stretch of the schedule that is very, very tough.
All right. The Colts are 8-2, tied for the best record in the NFL with the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. Again, they're off this week. They play a week from Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. Last night, Monday Night Football, Philadelphia over the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field.
Yes.
10-7 the final score. Saquon Barkley had 101 yards of total offense, but that was pretty much it. Devonta Smith did catch the 1 touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts. And again, the tush push succeeding because, I don't know, half the offense is allowed to go off sides and get a jump on the defensive line before the ball is snapped.
Yeah, if you're ESPN, you're probably not loving these last two Monday night games because if you're trying to convince YouTube TV to pony up and pay these money, the last two Monday night games have stunk to high heaven. And Eli and Peyton looked like they wanted to stab their eyes out with what they were watching offensively because they had.
Did you watch
no
any of that last night?
I watched a little bit.
They had Bob Iger, the head of Disney and ABC and ESPN on last night.
Talk about a self-stroke because what the hell you have Bob Iger on and you're not going to ask him about the YouTube TV situation and all that. Boy, that's like don't bite the hand that feeds you, I guess. But that was a complete waste of time.
All right. Also in the NFL, Joe Burrow returned to practice yesterday for the Cincinnati Bengals to open up his 21-day window on when he could possibly come off the injured list. However, don't count your chickens yet. Burrow, of course, suffered a grade 3 turf toe during Cincinnati's Week 2 win over Jacksonville, had surgery on September 19th, and says his progress and the team's progress over the next few weeks will determine whether or not he plays again this season. So the door has been opened, but he's not ready to walk through it quite yet.
Boy, I don't know. The way the Bengals, that defense can't stop anything. I think I'd just kind of hold off on Joe Burrow because what are you going to throw him out there for if the games mean nothing?
All right, that's it for the NFL. The Pacers return to the floor tonight. They'll be in Utah to take on the Jazz. 8:30 airtime with Mark Boyle and Pat Boylan. 9 o'clock tip-off. Good news, T.J. McConnell has been upgraded to questionable with that hamstring injury, so there's a possibility he could play tonight. If not tonight, maybe the final game of their 4-game road trip. We'll have to wait and see. Pascal Siakam, Aaron Nesmith, they're both off the injured list. And my goodness, are we getting – I almost don't want to say it, but the Pacers might be getting a little bit of help.
There might be light at the end of the tunnel. We might be seeing some prayers answered here. We might see that we don't have to hey, who's on the G League now that we can figure out? Because they're getting very close to Nashville or the Noblesville Boom being the main roster at this point. So if you can get some guys healthy, some name recognition and all that, that is a good thing to see. So let's see what happens tonight. But yeah, the Pacers need a much-needed win. Can they get one tonight?
I do want to go see the Boom play at some point in time.
I do too. I need to get out there. That stadium
place looks terrific.
Incredible.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's a great way to go enjoy basketball, it sounds like to me.
We saw a commercial the other day, and the girl's like, are we going to go to a game? I'm like, we need to get out there. We need to get out there sometime. So we will. We will at some point.
All right, a couple of NBA notes from last night. At the buzzer, Miami over Cleveland, 140-138 in overtime. Andrew Wiggins gets you think about it all the time. A defense is supposed to be ready for it. There's 0.4 of a second left on the clock. There's really only one thing you can do, Mark. It's the alley-oop. Guess what Miami got last night? Uncontested. The alley-oop.
Beautiful.
To Wiggins.
That was a good one. That was a very good game. Also, Cade Cunningham of the Pistons.
Yes.
46 points on 45 shots.
Dude.
Holy moly.
Caleb and I could score 46 if we got 45 shots off.
I mean, that was just...
Now, neither one of us would ever get any shots off, but should we find a way to get 45? You could 46 points on 45 shots is insane.
I mean, what?
Somewhere Allen Iverson is like, that's crazy.
There are other players on that team, right? It wasn't just 5-on-1. Like, I'm so confused as to what the distribution was in that game.
I'm glad you brought that up. I had it on my notes. But also last night, Dallas loses to Milwaukee 116-114. Cooper Flagg, great night, 26 points. They lost a 13-point lead, though, and as they were losing that lead when it got down to 1, the crowd just started chanting, "Fire Nico."
It's getting really toxic.
Yeah, Nico Harrison, oh, boy. He knew what he did, though, so that's been rough, though.
Last night in college basketball, Indiana State, a winner over Southern Illinois, Edwardsville, 64-55. And we had a texter let us know that SIUE, as they are known, did make it to the NCAA tournament last year. You and I were talking about the fact that we didn't know anything about it.
No, I've heard of it, but didn't know.
Yeah. Also, tonight, Butler will host Chicago State, 7 p.m. up at Hinkle. 6:30 airtime. You can listen to it on 92.7 FM Fuego, because we'll be running the Pacers game tonight. By the way, the Pacers broadcast starts at 8:30. Tip-off comes at 9. Houston has moved past Purdue in the first in-season top 25 poll. Boilermakers can try to do something about that when they play number 8 Alabama on the road on Thursday. Indiana, by the way, at 2-0, will host Milwaukee tomorrow night down at Simon Scott.
Are you at all interested in the pissing match between LSU and Brian Kelly and this?
I am a little
payout?
bit. I saw a little bit of that. It's kind of wild.
It's too bad
LSU
they
saying
both
they
can't lose those lawsuits, right?
LSU saying they fired Kelly for cause, so they're trying to avoid having to pay him the full $54 million buyout. And Brian Kelly's saying, not so fast. Me and my family need to eat. So they're going to bring the lawyers in and all that and figure that out. But fascinating.
Do you
what's going
think
on
the
out there.
lawyers in Louisiana understand that just not having a superior record of what you expect is not cause?
We didn't win the national championship, but this guy's got to go. Is my gumbo ready? Yeah, they need to. That is a blank show down there. Brian Kelly is such a clown, but I mean, you agreed to the contract. You got to pay him out. LSU, I know you don't want to, but I think the law is going to be on the side of Brian Kelly, saying you can't say for cause just because you lost a couple of games in the SEC.
Well, you can find a way to argue about anything in a court of law, whether you're going to win or not. It's
I'm
a different
invested.
Story.
I want to see how it plays out.
Anything else you want to throw in?
No, I think
You want
that's
to talk about John Cena again last night?
We can save that for later.
All right.
John Cena's the man.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll talk a little bit more about the Pacers starting to get healthy and the Colts trying to get better and healthy themselves on a bye week. It's all straight ahead at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Is that some Brian Kelly vibes going? Is that why you playing this?
Born
I love
on
this
the
song.
Bayou.
I love this song, but that seems to go hand in hand with Brian Kelly and LSU, which I love.
He was not born on the Bayou.
I feel like we have devoted way too much time to LSU and Brian Kelly.
I'll listen to CCR all day, but that is a great song. But yeah,
What's your favorite CCR song?
Up Around the Bend. That guitar gets going. I love that song. Love that song.
My favorite is Have You Ever Seen the Rain?
That's my favorite, too. You beat me to it, Caleb. Anyway, it's the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. We've been talking about the Colts and the top tier of the AFC and where the Colts really stack up. And we're going to find out as they come out of the bye and they play at Kansas City and then home against the Texans and then at Jacksonville, at Seattle, home against San Francisco, which is going to be a big Sunday night game. And that gets rough. And it's, it's one of the tougher second half schedules in the NFL. And we'll find out what the Colts are all about. And we've been talking about the fact that maybe there are no great teams this year in the NFL. No, just like the Chiefs were 2-3 years ago. Right? There are some really bad teams in the NFL, though, right now.
There are some very bad teams.
I mean, you take a look right now at the Tennessee Titans. They're 1-8. They got a rookie quarterback, and they can't seem to get it together anywhere. Is anybody worse? I know they're 2-7, but is there a worse team right now in the National Football League than the New York Jets?
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns probably, who just lost to them, I would say. The Cleveland Browns stink.
Yeah, but the Jets just traded away two of their best defensive players.
I know, but the Jets are also trying to tank, and the Browns still lost to them. The Browns are just Myles Garrett and just a bunch of dudes that are just like hanging around.
I would have said the New Orleans Saints, but all of a sudden, Tyler Shuck looked pretty good against Carolina the other day, and they won.
Yeah, I could make the case for the Arizona Cardinals as well. You've kind of pulled the ripcord on Kyler Murray, and all of a sudden you're rolling with Jacoby Brissett, and they got manhandled in Seattle. That game was over in the first half of the first quarter. So that was a brutal game too. There are some truly bad teams out there. The Raiders doing Raiders things, and the Giants, of course, they just fired Brian Dable yesterday after they lost another fourth quarter lead when they lost to the Bears on Sunday. So another coaching change in the NFL. Yeah, there are some bad teams out there, but that also shows that the Colts have a chance. Like we've talked about before, the top three teams in the AFC right now, and we're record-wise, are the Colts, the Patriots, and the Broncos. No one would have had that pegged. So the usual suspects kind of struggling a little bit. So now is the perfect season for the Colts to make some hay, and they have through the first 10 games. But as you said, Jeff, the schedule definitely ratchets up in difficulty, so that they start showing that they belong in that upper tier of the AFC.
Well, they don't play in the regular season this year, but maybe the rivalry is truly back on, as we mentioned last week, between the New England Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts, if they would get together in the postseason.
Would that
and right now,
do you want that to happen? Would a little twinkle in your football eye happen if you see a renewal of the Colts? I know I would. I actually do want to see that.
Let me ask you this: the Patriots have won 7 games in a row.
Uh-huh.
The Colts lost against Pittsburgh and struggled against Atlanta. Tough game, but they found a way to win, and Jonathan Taylor was fantastic, and my opinion is the best player in the NFL right now. Okay? I think that's a game that depends on where you play it. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the New England Patriots, that's a good-looking football team. Drake May is for real.
Yeah, he's legit. At the moment, he's the best quarterback to come out of that class.
He looks really good. And he's big, he's athletic, he's got an arm, and he's making really good decisions.
I think it'd be fun. I'm going to say
I want it.
I think it would. Right now, the NFL, if you take a look around, it does remind you of the mid-2000s. You have the Seahawks, the Broncos, the Colts, the Patriots. The Chargers are in the mix.
Even the Steelers are still in first place.
The Steelers are in first place in their division.
And just beat the Colts, by the way.
It's kind of cool.
I like it. And then, the Patriots kind of have a cakewalk schedule, as we've discussed. I mean, the Jets twice still. They're at the Bengals, play the Giants. They still have the Ravens, Dolphins, and Bills on there, but they have quite the cakewalk.
The two teams
season.
Missing from that era, though, that are okay, but not great, would be Green Bay and San Francisco.
Well, Packers suck, and they certainly sucked last night, so I'm not worried about them.
If they were 9-1, you'd say that.
But they really do suck this year. Usually it's just me saying it. This year they actually do suck. They are not good. So
right.
Jordan Love looks lost. Matt LaFleur might be getting kicked out of Green Bay, whether he wants to or not. So not great there. But, yeah, again, this is the perfect time for the Colts to make hay in the AFC.
Here's the thing about the NFL. After 2 weeks, when the Packers beat the Commanders, everybody walks out of that game. Oh my gosh, the Packers are the front runners for the Super Bowl. Your Bears, Mark, 0-2 after 2 weeks. and how things have changed and how things can change in a matter of a week, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is in this sport is always something I marvel at.
All right, coming up in a moment, what did Shane Steichen say about all the recent criticism of going for it and being too aggressive on fourth down all the time? We'll find out next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Good morning, Up and Adam. Many of you are on your way to work already. Some of you have been there for a while. Mark, you were here. Even though you're not producing, you're still getting here earlier than I am. That's driving me nuts.
I wake up early. I just wake up early. I have the commute from Brownsburg on a daily basis, so I don't know what the road conditions are and all that. So I'm like, I'm getting into work. See what Caleb's up to. And I bother him for a little bit and just to make sure I get my mind right and ready to roll, get all the notes ready and whatnot.
What Caleb doesn't realize after a couple of days of having to get up and get in here early is for the next several days after you don't have to do this, you're going to wake up all of a sudden at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yesterday I was in here earlier to kind of get some stuff around because, big weekend and stuff. And I think my body was actually on that clock yesterday because I woke up an hour earlier than I was planning to this morning.
Even on vacation days, I'll wake up in a panic. Like, oh, God, I'm late for the show. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm off today. I forgot. And I quickly go back to sleep.
Text line open and running. You can also give us a call anytime you want. The number is the same, 239-1070, either way. Indy Finisher writes in, we have all the ingredients. He's talking about the Colts here for smash mouth playoff football. Jones needs to just take care of the football, let JT eat, and our defense can avoid major injuries. This recipe can keep Mahomes on the sidelines. Well, let's go back to Daniel Jones and taking care of the football. We talked to Shane Steichen, or should say the media talked to him about that yesterday. He's not all that worried. Needs to put two hands on that. One thing that is starting to become a concern for a lot of fans, though, is this uber aggressiveness on fourth down when you could get 3 points and move on. That almost cost him against the Atlanta Falcons. People are getting upset about that. Shane Steichen addressing that question yesterday when talking about the win over Atlanta and the penchant to just keep going for it on fourth down.
I understand that this is, results driven on fourth downs. And I got a lot of faith in our guys going for those in those situations. And we've been pretty darn good at them all year. And obviously, I think we were 50% or whatever it was yesterday on some of those. And credit to Atlanta. They stopped us on those. But yeah, I feel good about it. And like I said, when I go for those situations, it does depend on the game situation, where it's at, time on the clock, what the score is when I do make those decisions.
Yeah, I can hear him out there, but I also feel like this is kind of like an epidemic going on in the NFL where, well, the analytics tell us we should go for it on 4th and 4, so we're just going to go for it.
Yeah, but what the analytics are saying that people don't talk about is when you do that and you can complete that at a certain percentage, like the Colts are getting 50%, you end up scoring more points in the long run.
Yeah, but when you're in games like you were against Atlanta, where you're on a neutral site, you're overseas, sometimes you just need to take the points. And if they would have kicked a field goal there, granted, nothing's 100% in the NFL, so maybe those kicks don't go in. But if they do go in, guess what? You're not going to overtime against the Falcons. Yes, you pulled out a win, but you also would have avoided some overtime there, and you could have just gotten the win. So I like the aggressiveness. I like it when Ben Johnson does it. I like when Shane Steichen does it. But sometimes, I don't know if there's another coach in their ear or anything they could say, like, maybe let's just take the points here. I know what the analytics are telling you. Maybe just take the points here, and we'll trust our defense to take care of the ball on the other side.
Nobody was complaining the first part of the year, though, when they were just racking up fourth down victory after fourth down victory and scoring on almost every possession.
That's true, but I also would say the last 2 weeks have been a bit of a different story than the first 8 games. So I feel like the way your offensive line is played, I mean, Daniel Jones left with a bloody mouth, which could be a lot worse, especially the way he's getting hammered all of a sudden. So time and place is always the thing.
Here's the thing about the bloody mouth, though. That could be from you bit your lip while you're getting tackled or something. It doesn't
he got popped a few times. So
yeah, I think he did crash into the bench.
That is true. He crashed after he got shoved into it by a Falcon.
Jeff, you do bring up a good point. I think it is important to remember that when the Colts, in that Arizona game or in the Broncos game had a couple fourth down aggressive plays, and I think all this is kind of a regression to the mean. They were so successful on those fourth downs for the first part of this year. Like, you're not going to convert it every time. But I am going to side with Jeff that, I do think in the long run it is beneficial.
Well, that's what I mean. When they say the word analytics, what they're telling you is overall, it's like going to a casino and playing blackjack, right? If you play a certain way, you're going to win a certain percentage amount of the time over a long period of time, right?
Yeah.
Now, you have to have, in that particular case, you have to have enough money to outlast the bank, which most people don't. But if you play a certain way, you can win over a long period of time. That's essentially what analytics in baseball and football are telling you, that if you do it this way, over the long haul, you're expected to have more wins because of it. That's what they're telling you. Now, in the moment, sometimes I feel that this is a valid argument as well. Sometimes you got to look at game flow. How's your offensive line doing against the defensive line? Sure, it's worked in the last 5 games, but if your guys are getting the crap knocked out of them all day long, maybe it's not the best time to go for it on 4th and 1.5.
Right. You ever split 10s in blackjack? That's like usually a no-no.
Usually, if you split 10s in blackjack, they are watching you very carefully because there's a reason.
What's this
that you
jackass
might
doing?
There's a reason you might be splitting 10s, if you know what I'm saying.
I know. Oh, I haven't been to the blackjack table in a while.
Not that I would know anything about that, Mark.
I haven't been to the blackjack table in a while, but that's a good time. Shout out! Can we take a quick 30 seconds, real quick?
Yeah.
Happy Veterans Day, all out there, and also shout out because I'm on my Twitter timeline right now. It just popped up. Pro Football Hall of Fame just tweeted out Happy Veterans Day from Hall of Famer Marv Levy at 100 years old.
God, love him.
Tweeting out a Happy Veterans Day. That is awesome. Marv Levy,
He could
getting
probably
it done at 100.
He could probably still come out. He could probably go coach the Giants for the rest of the year and have as much success as Daboll's had.
I bet he could still chew some players out at 100 years old. He could be rear-ended, and he could chew some players out, especially these days. I love Marv Levy.
I need to know if you and Nick are like, is that your burner? Because it's always about the Packers sucking.
They do suck. They were bad last night, and I relished. That game was not fun to watch, but it was glorious to watch the false hope that Packers fans got where they're like, oh, my God, we've not been good for 3 whole quarters. They got a touchdown finally. And all of a sudden, for some random reason, which, again, check Nick Sirianni's FanDuel account, because why he decided to go for it on 4th and 6 yesterday when the game looked like it was in hand boggled my mind. I don't understand. Was the analytics telling him to go for it on 4th and 6? I don't know what that was about. But then you gave the Packers a breath of life. Packers fans false hope. Jordan Love's trying to scramble and score. They're trying to get a last-second field goal. They send out their kicker, and he kicks one of the most horrific kicks I've ever seen. A potential game-tying kick went way left. Way left. I think he hit a fan in the stands. That's how bad it was.
I was watching somebody the other day, too, had a punter that was just struggling. Like, ball was coming off the side of his foot.
As the Giants punter.
Yeah.
They're trying to put the Bears away. Day. And he literally punted it off his ankle, and it went 12 yards.
But
that's
he had
how the Giants are going this year.
He had a series of punts like that. It was like 3 or 4 in a row.
He kept hanging his head and going to the sideline. Brother, you might not be on the sideline much longer. They might be Brian Dable. You're going to go Brian Dable and go kick rocks elsewhere.
He might have gotten lucky in that he got to go under the radar this week because Dable got fired, and that's all they were thinking about.
Yeah, he was bad. Somebody said they split jacks at a bachelor party one time, but he hit on both, but the last player busted. He said he thought the guy was going to kill him. Yeah, I can see that. Get out of there. Take your money and leave. Cash out while you can, Jeremiah.
I'm just telling you, the guy at third base that keeps screwing up and taking one more card, to some people, that's just more information you're getting.
Uh-huh. Also,
that's all I'm saying.
The guys who wear the sunglasses at the blackjack table, I've never wanted to punch a person in my life. But I'm like, who do you think you are? You're not fooling anybody. How bad is your tell that you have to wear glasses?
Well, might be a Chauncey Billups situation.
I know.
It might be having cameras on the glasses somehow.
Yeah,
and
are casinos cracking down on that now? Like no glasses now? Because now that, there's the jackass in the World Series of Poker back in the day that had the poker chip glasses. But now Chauncey Billups has X-ray vision. I feel like you should be cracking down on the eyewear at the table.
Yeah. Sean says, stop going for 53-yard field goals. Your kicker already missed an extra point.
Ugh. Well, and that is Badgley's thing, right? He doesn't have that strong of a leg. And so I think when you get to that 50-yard mark, you might think about going for it rather than kicking a field goal.
Yeah, and here's the problem with the kicking right now. People are like, well, maybe you go get a – where it's week 10. Where do you think the great kickers on the street are that you're going to go get? Because really what you're hoping for is to bring somebody in when they had what last week when they signed him, not last week, but when they signed him because they lost their guy, they had 8 kickers in. It was a big kickoff, right? See who's going to perform under pressure, competition, all those kinds of things. You're hoping to find a kicker that's hot right now because kickers are like golfers, man. When that swing is going, it's smooth. You're driving it to the pin every time. You're hugging that flag all the time. And when you're just a little bit off, now you're putting for pars all the time instead of birdies, right? It's the same thing with kickers. Kickers get in that groove, and you're just hoping to find somebody off the street that's in a groove. But if you now punt on a kicker, no pun intended there, But if you now punt on the kicker you have, your second one of the year, to go get a third one, are you really upgrading the position unless the guy has just been a disaster?
Not really. And yeah, the loss of Spencer Schrader is bigger than I think a lot of people thought, just because once you lose that consistency at kicker, you're digging on the scrap heap, because those guys that are available for a reason. So there's talk with Jake Moody. Should we get him, even though he was struggling in San Francisco? The Justin Tucker talk, I can't put that to bed fast enough, because I think there's zero chance, even if Badgley continues to struggle, that they are going to go down that Justin
Carly
Tucker route.
Ursay-Gordon is going to go sign him?
Zero chance. Not only do they not want that PR nightmare, but also, I'm sorry, but I think just a team owned by daughters now and everything are not going to watch what he's been accused of to be on that roster. I think there's zero chance that they would want that. I don't think Shane Steichen wants that. And just the PR, you built all this goodwill as a team. Why would you want to bring in a headache like Justin Tucker to just be a kicker that's going to be here temporarily? Because Spencer Schrader is going to get the job back once he's healthy next season.
Chris H. says, hey, Jeff, Blankenship is still looking for a job.
That's true.
We've seen that.
He was in that kicking competition, I thought. Was he not?
We've seen that show.
Yeah, so Badgley, he's here for now. If you're going to a third kicker, I mean, things really have to go off the rails here. So I understand that Shane is trusting Badgley. I think he has to at this point. They don't really have any other choice. But I guess if you're going to make a move, it would be at the bye week. I just don't see that happening, and I think they're going to ride it out, because the only other proven guy out there is Justin Tucker, and you do not want that headache.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll talk more about the Pacers. Alex Golden's scheduled to come on next. Is that correct, Mark?
Right, get a little Pacers talk.
Looking forward to that. They're getting healthy. How healthy? And will it help? We'll talk next to Alex Golden on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. This has got me up and running. A little upbeat here. I like this one. What do you got for me here, Caleb?
My Type by Saint Motel. Pretty good.
I like it. Mark, I'm telling you, man. Seat's getting warm over there.
Again, it's been fun. I'm assuming I'm gone after this show is over because I will be out of a job. Caleb is taking it, which is all respect to him.
Listen, you put out a whole
I hope the key
thread on
card,
Twitter.
I hope the key card works when I leave. Can I at least get out of here without having to pay for parking?
We're expecting Kevin back tomorrow.
Kevin's Thursday.
Thursday, that's right.
James is back tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Caleb will take over, and I'll hang my hat and start applying for jobs elsewhere.
You think we'll have really any great road tales from Berlin from James?
I would hope
back?
so. I need to hear what the hotel was like. I need to hear about the food he was eating. Any
extracurricular and nighttime activity.
Yeah, the German folk. Did the ladies like James Boyd in his suit? He looked pretty dapper out there. So plenty of Berlin stories I hope to hear from Mr. James Boyd tomorrow when he returns eventually.
I've spent some time in Europe, but not Germany yet. Let's go to the fan hotline right now, brought to you by Payless Liquors. And on that Payless Liquors hotline, we have Alex Golden. He, of course, Setting the Pace podcast, does a great job of covering the Indiana Pacers. And have you ever been to Europe or Germany, Alex?
No, I don't even have a passport, to be honest with you. I've never left the country.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. Would you like to go is the question. Like I thought you would have gone to France to watch the Pacers last year.
No, I mean, if I didn't work a normal job, like a 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. job, then I would consider doing that kind of stuff. But no, maybe one day. Right now, not necessarily. I'm just more of I'm a homebody, but I don't mind traveling. I just never really did much of it growing up.
Well, you got a little one too. You got to stay home and take care of that. So that's how that goes. Alex Golden joining us here, as I said, on the Payless Liquors hotline. Are we getting a little bit healthy for the Indiana Pacers at the end of this road trip here?
I mean, T.J. McConnell was upgraded to questionable. Andrew Nembhard returned, so it looks like we are getting a little bit healthier, which you can't wish that to not happen, because I know there's a lot of fans wanting the Pacers to just kind of take this year off and get a high draft pick. But I think for the development of this team and young players, you need your point guards back. You need to get healthy to kind of see what you have moving forward. So hopefully TJ is able to play soon. I don't know if it'll be tonight or not, but seeing him upgraded from out to questionable after being out a month, I think that's a good sign.
Alex, beside, it's been a gut punch start to the season for the Pacers, but what has been the bright spot, if you can find one? What has been the bright spot of the season despite just a horrific start?
Oh, that's a good one. Bright spot. I think that we've seen a little bit of development from Isaiah Jackson at the 5. I think that'd be one thing I've noticed. He really had a breakout game the last time the Pacers played the Warriors, the one that actually won that game. He had a really good second half, played really good against Milwaukee. So I think we're slowly starting to see him get back to form. I would say Jarris Walker has had some ups and downs so far, but good to see him getting some opportunity. And then, of course, Pascal just proving that he can be that 1A level player and really put your team in a spot most nights to be at the end of the game with a chance to win it. So, there's not a lot of bright spots in this one, but that's kind of where I'm looking at my bright spots right now.
I've kind of gone with, I try to paint a picture of Pacers positivity. That's a lot of P's, right? I just said there. But I try to paint a little bit of positivity because I said, these are players getting minutes that normally wouldn't have gotten the amount of minutes they had, even without Tyrese Halliburton. But if they didn't have the litany of injuries that they've had, so maybe that's a bright spot that Carlisle and the rest of the coaching staff are like, okay, well, we're seeing some people. What thing they bring to the table? Can they be around past this season when Tyrese gets healthy and we potentially get a high lottery pick going and all that? Are these? I feel like that's positivity, where we're seeing what guys can do and how they can possibly be role players going forward once this team gets back to full strength.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I just think that with how hurt you've been at the point guard spot, it really has impacted a lot of players, because so much of this team is, predicated on point guard play. And when you're down your 3 point guards from last year and you're actually playing some games without even Quentin Jackson, who actually would have been a bright spot as well that I should have mentioned, it's like you're playing Ray J. Dennis and you're playing Ben Shepherd at the 1. You finally, you bring in Monte Morris, but at the same time you get Nembhard back. So now you actually have point guards, quotes point guards out there on the floor to kind of get guys set up, because with so many guys playing out of position, Jay Huff playing the 4 should never really be a thing. It's just you're kind of like trying to figure out, how do I actually evaluate these players when they're playing so out of position and not with the normal rotation. So, yeah, you're seeing them take on bigger roles, but at the same time, you're not really seeing how they would impact your team moving forward, in my personal opinion.
So as they are starting to get a little bit healthier, what's your assessment of the center position, which seems to be a bit of a crapshoot through the first part of this season? Like, where are we at there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not great if you're asking me personally. I think Isaiah Jackson has solidified himself as the best of the three that they have. I think Tony Bradley's probably been the most consistent through the first 10 games. Jay Huff has had, a really good game against Brooklyn, had a decent game against Golden State, but other than that, I haven't been overly impressed with Jay Huff. So I think right now, from how I look at this Pacers center rotation, I think you have a really good backup center for the future in Isaiah Jackson, and then a third string center in either Jay Huff or Tony Bradley. You're still missing that long-term starting center piece. Now, I don't want to rule Isaiah Jackson out, because with a healthy guard rotation, could he look a little bit better? Potentially, but I just think that right now there's a lot to be desired there at the center position, and they haven't got enough consistency or production out of that spot.
Yeah, we are. This is my favorite part of the show.
Oh, boy.
Evan just came in with cluster truck.
Thank you, Evan.
Sorry you're on the phone today, Alex. You got to come in and join us one of these days in studio for this.
Yeah.
But getting back to just talking about the Pacers, finishing up the road trip here, just one win so far. Is there a possibility for a win before they come home now that they're getting a little bit healthy? What's their best shot?
Yeah, I mean, probably tonight against Utah, right? I mean, Siakam's going to be playing. He's healthy. Neesmith is going to be playing. He's healthy. Nembhard's healthy. McConnell's questionable. So you're starting to get your guys back. I think getting Mathurin back at some point will be big, just to get you another scorer out there. But I think this is a game they can win. It's not like Utah's great. I think they've won 3 games this year. Had a close win against Boston. They beat the Clippers, who've been really struggling this year, and the Suns in overtime. So it's not like they're a great team. And here's what I'll say for any Pacer fan that is trying to find positivity with this team. The best way to kind of look at this season, I'm doing it this way, is in 10-game increments. Okay, you started out 1-9. What do you do over the next 10 games? Can you find yourself being 7-3 over the next 10 games, and now your record's 8-12? That looks a lot better than 1-9. So I would just say it's a long season. There's opportunities to win some games coming up here. Detroit's on the schedule a couple of times. They're really banged up. They have been playing really good basketball, but you've got some other teams that are beatable in this upcoming schedule as you're getting healthier. So for fans that are looking for this team to make the playoffs or maybe make the play-in, that is kind of your road to kind of like watching this team and like perceiving this team as, hey, let's watch this in 10-game increments, because with the NFL, every week it's like, it's win or lose, it's a big deal. But in the NBA, there's so many games, I think it's better to look at it as like a 10-game stretch versus day to day.
I'm gonna try that with my wife. I'm like, I know I had a rough summer, but let me rebound in the fall. I promise you, I'm not as big of a jackass as I appear. We'll see if that
That's
works.
not a bad idea. I mean, it might help your marriage a little bit.
It sounds like something's on top of Mark's mind right now, doesn't it?
Well, I accidentally left the house door unlocked this morning before I left. So my wife said, "You left the house door open." I'm like, "Oh, that's not ideal."
You're living in the mean streets of Brownsburg, too.
Probably. Alex Golden of Setting the Pace joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Alex, talked about this a bit earlier again when I was spitting my Pacers positivity, but it went under the radar because we were in the heart of the NBA Finals and all that stuff. We saw a trade by the Pacers and the Pelicans, and we were kind of like, well, that seems a little weird in the middle of the finals. But looking back on it, like, how big is this now, looking in hindsight of this trade, that the Pelicans acquired the Pacers' 2025 first-round pick, but then the Pacers reacquired their 2026 first-round pick, which was lost during the Siakam trade. Now, with Halliburton gone, Turner gone, that seems like that is going to come up huge given the state of the Pacers right now. Like, we're looking at lottery picks and all that. Just talk about that pick that they reacquired.
I mean, it's massive. It's honestly like probably one of the best moves that Kevin Pritchard's made in his tenure, and it is on accident, right? It's like you look at this team right now and the way things are kind of playing out. Like if this team ends up really falling apart, you can't stay healthy, and they end up getting into the lottery and they're a top 3 pick, like wow, like that could be a franchise-changing pick that is a star next to Tyrese Halliburton for the next decade, right? Like that's how big of a pick this could become. Now, if they start winning games and the pick starts to lose its value when it kind of falls down into like that 6 to 10 range, you could still get a very good player there, or you could use that pick as a massive trade asset to go out there and shore up your roster. I think obviously, like I just mentioned with the center rotation, they don't have a starting center on the roster, in my personal opinion, for the future. They could use that pick to go out there and get a center, and maybe there's a guy out there that's available and a team willing to move off of somebody. So I just think that it gives you so much more flexibility with how you build this roster moving forward. And if there's a guard out there that's really talented that happens to be in that top 10 range. You get them on a rookie scale contract. Maybe you don't have to spend all your money paying Matherin, Neesmith, Nimhart, all these guards that are coming up, Halliburton. Like, that's a lot of money you've invested into the guard rotation. Now you look at, maybe we can go out there and get somebody on that rookie scale contract that could give us similar to, good production as some of the players already have. So I just think there's a lot of flexibility with it. But, yeah, getting that pick back, I mean, the Pelicans, I know they're wearing a lot of egg on their face for what they did with the trade with the Hawks to give them their first-round pick. But if for some reason the Pelicans gave their unprotected pick this year to the Hawks. I mean, if they are terrible and the Pacers are terrible, the Hawks and the Pacers could have 2 top 3 picks, and that could have all been to the Pelicans, which is just kind of crazy to think about in hindsight.
The Pelicans doing dumb things.
That's
that
just the
shocks
Pelicans.
me. That
yeah.
shocks me.
I know they're one of the most poorly run organizations in my tenure that I've been covering the Pacers. When I saw that Joe Dumars was going there, I said, "Oh, this does not feel like a great hire in my opinion." And whenever you get a new GM, they want to make big moves, and I know Derek Queen's a very talented player. Don't get me wrong; I'm hoping that he pans out for them, but the Zion thing's been a mess. He can't stay healthy, can't get in shape, all that stuff. And, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the Pelicans, but I would just hate to be a fan of that fan base because there's just nothing really to cheer for.
Alex, as an NBA guy, what'd you think of Cade Cunningham scoring 46 points last night on 45 shots?
Well, yeah, I think he had 31 misses as well, which is the most missed field goals in a game going all the way back to 1967. So, honestly, if you look at the roster that the Pistons had out there, like 8 of their top 10 guys were out, so it kind of felt very Pascal Siakam-esque with the guys he's been playing with. And so I kind of understand why they needed Cade to shoot so much. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great production, but at the end of the day, they get the win in overtime against the Wizards team that was really scrapping and fighting for that one. So it was a fun game down the stretch. Cade's a really good player. I mean, what are the Pistons now? 9-2. Like they're playing incredible basketball. And Cade Cunningham's a special player, but yeah, that's a lot of shots. But I mean, at the same point, who else do you want taking them? I mean, I'd rather Cade be missing and taking tough shots than having somebody else take him and miss him. So I don't hate that he was aggressive, but yeah, it's the third most field goal attempts we've seen in the last 10 years, behind Kobe Bryant's 50 in 2015, and then last year Jalen Brunson had a 47 field goal attempt game. So it's a rare thing to see, but Cade Cunningham putting the shots up.
By the way, the night that Kobe scored 81. He was 28 of 46.
Yeah, I mean, that was prior to 10 years ago. So it's crazy. You don't see 46 shots a lot. That's a lot of shots. I mean, that's probably close to 40, 45, 46% of what they actually took as a team. So that's a guy putting the ball up a lot. And I'm sure his arms are tired today. I'm sure mine would be if I shot that many shots.
Somewhere Allen Iverson is like, man, that's crazy. 46 shots. Even AI thinks that's crazy. So,
yeah.
Leg day for Cade Cunningham today. Leg day. No arms.
Alex, good to talk
Absolutely.
to you, man. Thanks for putting up with our nonsense. We appreciate it.
All righty, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. We'll talk soon.
There he
Thanks,
is.
brother.
Alex Golden, setting the pace. Does a great job covering the Pacers. You can listen to his daily podcast. I listen to his podcast coming into work quite often.
He and Fauci do a great job. I've been on there before. There is a fun show, so they do a great job.
I can't figure, is Fauci, is he here or is he in New York? I don't know where he's at half the time.
We should ask Alex. I don't know. The time I was on, we did a Zoom call, so I think everyone was everywhere, so I'm not sure exactly.
They had you on for a Zoom call?
Well, I did an
Wow.
interview with them. I was on as a guest, but we did, Zoom call links or whatever. So that's the way it works. That's how we do it. That's the beautiful thing of 2025. You don't have to be in the same studio. You can be often wherever. That's how we talked to James in Berlin yesterday.
Caleb, you're one whisker away from being a guest on Setting the Pace.
There you go.
Hey, I mean, come on now. I can talk Pacers basketball. I would love that. That'd be great.
I mean, we talked about that trade that they did make. It went under the radar during the finals because obviously we were like, what the hell? We were in the middle of the finals. We weren't paying attention to trades. But, I mean, that is looming large that they reacquired their 2026 first-round pick. Because you imagine if they didn't have it and this season was going the way that it is, you'd be like, oh, boy, I wish we had that right now. So
I'm glad you guys brought it up. Doing business with the Pelicans usually works out in your favor.
Usually it's a win, yeah.
It's a good job. by
Yeah,
the
there's a
Pacers.
line usually. Every other GM in the league is like, no, I'm here first.
Joe Dumars, can you pick up the call? Yeah, that is going to be a huge trade, and I agree. That is probably one of the best under-the-radar moves that Kevin Pritchard has made in his tenure, but great by them because that's going to be big time.
I'm not going to lie. I'm having a really difficult time concentrating and getting ready for the check down
Oh, God, is that
because Evan, during that interview, brought in
the cluster truck order?
I went.
Did you switch it up?
I switched it up a little bit. I did not do the Korean And
I was excited.
creamed beef and
I
broccoli.
heard that was a big deal.
Well, I do
Your
like it, but
signature dish
I do
here.
like other things.
Yeah.
The
There are other
salivatory
things that I
glands
like.
of a Jeff Ricker get really going.
I think I got the chicken applewood salad this week,
Oh, okay.
which looked really good to me. I
He's
already
like-
had because I eat breakfast at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So.
He's like a dog, like a tramp dog that's out on the streets, and he sees that Korean beef and broccoli, and he's like, "This is spaghetti and meatballs. Where's the Lady and the Tramp here?"
Well, everybody's got their little
It is
go-to
good.
things,
I mean,
man.
It smells immaculate when you bring it in. So
It's good
shout out
stuff.
to Evan. Yes, he's
What'd you
always,
go for today?
I did. What did I do? Oh, I did the Belgian waffles and everything.
Caleb?
So,
Breakfast burrito recommended to me by Mark, so I wasn't sure what to get.
yeah,
but
he said, "What do you recommend?" I'm like, honestly, and this is the honest to God truth, I've never had a bad meal from him. So
That's
I
true.
was like, you can pick from whatever. Their breakfast items are good. Their burgers are good. Their chicken stuff's good. I mean, it's all great. So I think they have should check their website, but they have the 2 pounds of chicken tenders going on, or at least they did last week. We've done that before, especially during March Madness. It is all excellent by them. So shout out to Evan and Cluster Truck.
Yeah, it could threaten to wreck me because I try to have I try to have a pretty good breakfast at home in the morning to get started, right? Try to have a lighter lunch throughout the day, and then an earlier like 5:30 dinner that's got some substance, and then don't eat again for 12 hours. That's kind of my schedule.
Fascinating.
But man, I'm not gonna lie. There'll be like times it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I haven't eaten. I'm like, man, I should just wreck it all and just get whatever I want on Cluster Truck.
Yeah.
There you go.
You only live once. Ball out a little bit.
I've already been there. All right, let's check it down right now. Colts are on a bye. They will play at Kansas City a week from Sunday, hoping to get a little bit healthier. We know that DeForest Buckner will not be around until at least week 15, but maybe Charvarius Ward, from what it sounds like, could be coming back by then.
Sounds like that would be nice too. Get some healthy bodies on the Colts in the secondary and everything. That would be a huge help, especially with the Chiefs next up.
Colts are 8-2. They are tied with New England and Denver for the best record in the NFL. They still have the best point differential for points allowed and points scored at plus 113. So they are looking pretty good despite a loss against Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago and a struggle to win in overtime in Berlin against Atlanta. But you know what? I think that win against Atlanta may turn out to be long-term more of a gut check. I think that's the kind of thing where they kind of broke away from Daniel Jones, had a little bit of trouble holding on to the football, just turned it over to Jonathan Taylor, and he did his thing, man.
He did. He is having an MVP-like season. Again, Jonathan Taylor has been the guy you want to strap to a rocket to and just ride him into the end zone, and that's what he's been doing because he's had multiple 3 touchdown score games, so ride that hot hand of Jonathan Taylor if you can because he's getting it done for them.
All right. Last night, Monday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles over the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field 10-7. I know you were very disappointed in that result,
So
Mark.
heartbroken.
Saquon Barkley had 101 total yards in a defensive struggle. The big highlight being played all over social media today is not any of the touchdowns, or the 2 touchdowns that were scored. It's about the Philadelphia Eagles clearly moving off sides on a tush push, which was not called offsides.
Yeah, I don't know what the fix is for this because I don't think it needs to be banned because I think it is a play in football. Just try to stop it. But referees also have to be like, okay, we need to be watching this even closer than we are because if they're blatantly jumping off and doing false starts but not getting penalized for it, then no wonder it's so successful all the time because the defense can't react fast enough because they're getting a lineman in their face before the ball's even snapped.
All right, so that was Monday Night Football last night. One other NFL note, Joe Burrow showed up to practice for the Cincinnati Bengals, coming off toe surgery several weeks ago after week 2. Says depends on how the team does and how I progress over the next 3 weeks about whether or not he'll play again this year. They have now started his 21-day window where he can practice with the team without coming off of the injured list.
Their schedule's at Pittsburgh, home against the Patriots, at Baltimore. Those are the next 3 games for them. Think they're winning any of those 3?
But if they do, you want Joe Burrow back up and running because you're on the way to the playoffs.
Do you though? I don't know. That defense stinks to high heaven. I mean, they put up 47 points in their last game against the Bears, and they've not been good at all. So you're 3-6. Yes, the Steelers are coming back to earth a little bit, but I'd rather have Joe Burrow healthy and ready for 2026 than trotting him out for a potential wild card berth.
All right. We just talked to Alex Golden about the Indiana Pacers. They will be Back in the action tonight against the Utah Jazz. 8:30 airtime here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan with Mark Boyle and Pat Boylan. And then Mark will have the play-by-play beginning at 9 p.m. TJ McConnell has been upgraded to questionable. You may see him tonight. We'll have to wait and see. Pascal Siakam, Aaron Nesmith are both off the injured list. And so they're starting to get a little healthier at this point in time. We'll see how it all goes down tonight against the Utah Jazz. Pacers looking for only their second win of the year, Mark.
If McConnell doesn't play tonight, he's playing Thursday, though, you would
hope
right?
so.
You would think?
Yeah.
Against the Suns?
He's been battling a hamstring since preseason.
Well, I hope so. Keep an eye on the injury report.
All right. Also in the NBA last night, Dallas loses to Milwaukee 116-114. Yes, Cooper Flagg, the overall number one pick this past year, scored 26 points, but they did lose a 13-point lead, and in the midst of that, the crowd started chanting, "Fire Nico" again.
I feel like that's becoming like a regular thing these days. You got rid of Luka. I suggest you're probably not too high on the fan base, but you got Cooper Flagg. Okay, great. I don't know how that's working out so well. So he seems not long for the job, but he's there now, and that is unfortunate if you're a Mavericks fan.
All right, last night college basketball, Indiana State, a 9-point winner over Southern Illinois Edwardsville, 64-55 the final score there. Tonight, Butler will be hosting Chicago State, 7 p.m. tip, 6:30 airtime. Where, Mark? 92.7 FM?
Fuego.
Fuego.
I feel like I have to get a little bit of a...
Es correcto.
Yeah.
Fuego.
Muy bien.
Houston
That's
moves...
the extent of my Spanish, by
There
the
we
way.
go. Hablo español. Tengo 7 años en la escuela, pero muchos años pasada.
But that was a lot better.
Rosetta Stone.
There we
Okay.
Con leche. That's with milk, I believe.
No, I
So
just
I
said
don't-
I had a lot of years in school is what I said.
Okay. You actually paid
I don't
attention.
remember.
Okay.
No recuerdo más. That's the
You start
problem.
talking like that, Jeff, you might get the ladies all excited. They
Hey, now.
The only thing that's good for me is I can order really well at Mexican restaurants. That's about it. Houston has moved past Purdue on the first in-season top 25 poll. Purdue will get a chance to right that ship. Not that it's really wrong. They'll be at number 8 Alabama on Thursday. Indiana at 2-0 will host Milwaukee tomorrow night down in Bloomington. So, anything else you want to throw in?
I think that's about it. Again, I said it earlier. Kyle Hendricks retiring after 12 seasons in Major League Baseball. He's the last of the 2016 World Series champion Cubs that were still around. So, or at least, really active. So sad to see him go. One of my favorites of all time. So, yeah, disappointed. He was the last one on the roster before they got traded and went to the Angels. So, shout out Kyle Hendricks. Hell of a career. Hopefully, you'll get retired at Wrigley at some point these days.
Yeah. Didn't we have some Rookie of the Year announcements yesterday in Major League Baseball, too?
Yeah, Cade Horton, who I thought should have won NL Rookie of the Year for the Cubs, he did not. He finished in second, I believe. I'm trying to remember who it was exactly. I know it was one of the A's player. Oh, the Braves, Baldwin, the catcher from Drake Baldwin from the Braves won that.
Braves
And then
Rookie of the Year.
Nick Kurtz, the first baseman of the Athletics, was the unanimous choice for the AL Rookie of the Year.
I was looking at a picture of Nick Kurtz, too, and I'd seen him play just once or twice this year. He looks like he's still in high school. Doesn't he?
That's when you know you're getting older. Like, these kids look young, and they probably are. We're
All
getting
right.
older.
Coming up in a moment, we'll take a look around the rest of the National Football League, things you need to be aware of as the Colts have their bye week and are sitting on top of the world at 8-2. It's all straight ahead. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. It could threaten to wreck me. Got to take a break from eating cluster truck right there.
It's good. As is Outcast, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers over the weekend. That was fun to watch. That was a cool.
How do they
Cool
decide
ceremony.
who gets into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, though?
I think there are
Like, who makes that decision?
there are like things you need to reach. I think like your first album has to come out like 25 years. I have to look it up. I'm gonna butcher what it is, but there are things. There are heights you need to reach and everything. But there's always a list of people that are up for it, and then you're like, oh, there's no way that band's getting in or something. But Outkast, one of the all-time great duos, not only in rap but all-time in music. So it was great to see them get their flowers, because that was cool to see Big Boy and why am I blanking? Andre 3000 get their flowers and everything.
How can you forget a name, Andre 3000?
I just blanked for a second. I was eating cluster truck, and I'm
That's the I'd forget the other one.
Big Boy.
Yeah.
Big Boy, now a granddad, and yeah, Andre 3000 had the gray beard going. He's doing flute music and everything out in Japan or something, but God, I miss them. They were great.
So you think you're getting old. Wait till you get to the point where all the guys you're watching play right now have kids, and those guys start showing up in the NBA and the NFL. That's where I'm at. I'm at the point now where guys I covered early in my career, they all have kids playing now.
I think I'm 24 years old, and I think the Boozer twins at Duke is what's hitting me, because I actually do remember watching Carlos Boozer. Not you guys may remember the college player, not me necessarily. It was more of like his end of his Utah days into the Bulls teams, and now I'm watching his twins sons play at Duke, and that's blowing my mind.
That's crazy. You're talking to a guy who was really into baseball for a long, long time. It was my favorite sport for a long time. I actually remember, not vividly, but I remember Patrick Mahomes' dad. How crazy is that?
Carlos Boozer's painted hair on the Bulls in like the mid-2000s, that still trips me out.
Jaylen Brown's following that lead. Have
I
you
know.
seen his painted hair?
I remember that. I was like, that looks, he went from bald, all of a sudden he had a full, like that is not real. I feel like that's going to be like running down your head if there's even a drop of precipitation.
You ever seen Jaylen Brown's backstory, though? That guy's brilliant.
Cal, he went to Cal.
The dude would basically be like an astrophysicist right now. He's actually spoken as a guest speaker at some of the science classes, at either MIT or Harvard. I can't remember. One of them in Boston there. I can't remember what it was. Guy plays the guitar.
Wow, I actually didn't know this.
Like, I read some article about him 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, I didn't know all that.
You're saying the NBA is his backup plan, basically. Like he could be doing anything, and he's doing
Seriously,
those. Like, I'll just do
well,
that.
if your backup plan is making tens of millions of dollars every year,
Yeah. Well, it sounds like he could be making tens of millions of dollars regardless of what he's doing. But hey, he's like, I'll play basketball for a while.
But
I'll get that. I'll get that.
Every once in a while, there's somebody that just has they've got it figured out, man.
To be eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, an artist must have released their first commercial recording at least 25 years ago. Beyond this one former criteria, the selection process is subjective and considers musical excellence, impact, and influence, which are evaluated by a nominating committee.
You guys
So
ever
there you
been
go.
to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yes,
it's
I have.
amazing.
It's
I got
awesome.
a great story for you. I was doing when I was in Salt Lake City working for the Utah Jazz. I actually did in the summertime. I did the WNBA play-by-play for the Utah Stars at the time, and we were in Cleveland, and so I did my afternoon show. They have a radio studio up at the very top of that little pyramid, right? And so I did there, but because my show was an afternoon show out west, it was in the evening by the time I got done. The museum's closed. All the lights are off. The big attraction at that point in time was Pink Floyd's The Wall. So it's this cavernous museum, dark. I'm not familiar with it. And I'm by myself. And I'm walking down the stairs and around the corner. And just as I come around a corner towards that exhibit, out of nowhere from a loudspeaker comes a big booming voice that you're all familiar with that says, "You can't have any meat if you don't eat your pudding." And it scared the daylights out of me because I did not see that coming. It was pitch dark, and I was just trying to find the doorway to get out.
And you're like, now I need a change of pants because that scared the bejesus
So
out
yes, I have been to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame story.
We did it where we did a road trip. We went through like from Illinois through Detroit to Canada. So we did Canada for the first time. That was cool. And then on the way back, we looped around, went through Niagara Falls, through New York, and then we just kind of did one big loop
That's
around.
awesome.
That'd be
And we
cool.
stopped in Cleveland, went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the kids these days have their COVID and they have their neurovirus and everything like that. Back in the day, SARS was the rage, and we got through the Canadian border, and like all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, SARS is breaking out. And we're like, oh boy, did we bring that over here? What happened? But so we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that was very, very cool. My dad is a huge Beatles fan, so he was all over the map with that, and then just Nirvana and all that. It is awesome. I would highly recommend going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if you haven't been.
It's one thing I like about Mark and his family. Like they're not, and we did this when I was a kid. I'm
You
more
hopped
of
in the
a,
van, you just went.
I'm more of a plane guy, and we've taken a couple of road trips with the kids. Not that we haven't, but Mark just like it feels like
Just drive,
the
man.
165 days off that he has. That's just a road trip to some other part of
Yeah.
the country all the time.
I respect
I dig
it.
that. I like
Yeah.
that.
I'm a Midwestern boy. That's what you do. You look at the map and you say, yeah, we could fly to Florida, but why do that when we could drive for 16 hours?
Mark right now could give you directions to any one of 8 Buc-ee's.
Absolutely. I went to Buc-ee's we were in Nashville, so I stopped over the weekend.
What is the go-to, like, Buc-ee's order or gas station get you through a road trip?
The nearest one now is Bowling Green. I totally dropped the ball on Friday because there was news that there might be a Buc-ee's coming to Indy soon in the Greenwood area. So that is very exciting news for yours truly. So
Big time.
that would be awesome. So we'll see if that happens.
Every weekend, Mark's family is going to take a road trip to Greenwood.
There you go. Yeah.
You know it. Whether it's for the gas prices, the beef jerky, or just some fudge, or just a wave hi to the beaver or something, I'll be doing something. But
Have
I
the
think
kids gotten their picture taken with the little statue out front there?
many times, and the mascot. Sometimes the mascot's just roaming
I've
around
never seen a mascot.
by the fudge factory. So, no, but we've stopped at the nearest one right now is Bowling Green, I believe. So we did that one, and if you're not getting just the cheap gas, sometimes you just need to stretch your legs. Long road trips, get out of Buc-ee's, go to the immaculate bathrooms, then just stretch your legs a little bit.
I've only been to 2 Buc-ee's, one in Kentucky and one in just outside Knoxville.
I think I went to both of those this past weekend. So yeah, they are extraordinary. If you haven't been, it is an experience unlike any other that you need to take in.
You getting paid for that?
No, have you seen what they make at Buc-ee's though? At the gas, when you get gas, they tell you what they're paying people. Like, geez, almighty!
Can we work on this, though, when Buc-ee's comes to Greenwood and get Mark a little sponsorship?
will say
I
this.
think that needs to happen.
And I understand that it's not their wheelhouse at all, and the food is fantastic, but there's not very much there that's good for you at the
No,
Buc-ee's.
you're not trying to find. You're not eating healthy.
It's like going to a
We're
candy
not eating,
store.
we're not eating that what'd you get, the bacon salad here?
Yeah,
Like,
I'll
there's
get-
nothing like
you walk
that
into
there.
Buc-ee's, where's the salad bar? They'll throw you out on your ass. They're like, get out of here. Clogged arteries and nothing else in here.
Nothing wrong with the brisket there, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
That's good
delicious.
stuff. All right, coming back in a minute, we'll talk about the National Football League in general, and we'll find out what Mark and Caleb are up to tonight for their viewing schedules this evening, I guess is the best way to say it. We'll do it next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Fan Morning Show on a Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with Jeff and I. James Boyd, I believe, currently in the air, flying back from Berlin. He should join us tomorrow, barring any unforeseen travel issues.
You think he's that guy with like the little face mask over his eyes and leaning back?
He said
taking his shoes off.
He said he has
else?
zero issues falling asleep. But yeah, I do need to know the situation of like, do you take your shoes off on the flight? And like, I've seen some horrific in-air flight videos of people taking their shoes off or reclining the seat and people shoving the seat back at them. It's the Wild West up there. So, especially on that kind of a travel distance, I'm curious. What is in-flight etiquette for a James Boyd?
I don't know what they're paying flight attendants these days, but it is not enough.
No, not only, with the current issues with air travel and everything like that, but yeah, people are pissed. They just want to get to the location they're going to. So I can only imagine tensions are high in the sky, and even more so internationally. So James expected to join us tomorrow. So shout out to Caleb for joining last 3 shows. He's done a tremendous job, and it's been a pleasure working here, but I can tell he's already taking my job. So I will look elsewhere. Apparently the Buc-ee's mascot, if they need any applications, for the Johnson County location, I will happily apply.
Update that LinkedIn.
I think you've done a fantastic job. I have 2 things, though.
Go ahead.
First of all, your headphones. You have to have one ear exposed. You got to be able to have an ear that can hear the studio.
That is a good point. That is a good point.
So let's do that.
When I'm ripping farts, you got to hear them, okay?
Dude, I haven't noticed that, and I hope I don't. And the other thing is, what's up with the Duke sweatshirt?
Well, I was thinking about that,
I figured you'd have IU or Purdue or something.
Well, to tease this last break, Jeff, in the last segment, you said, well, what are you going to watch tonight? Well, I'll tell you, and maybe this is going to ruin the goodwill I've built up with this audience over the times I've produced, but I'm a Duke basketball fan and have been for about 15 years.
John Shire, big fan of John Shire.
All John Shire does is recruit like 4 of the top 6 5-star guys every year.
And so tonight they're taking on Army on Veterans Day. Kind of cool thing. They visited the campus yesterday.
The Boozer twins are going to be playing?
They're going to be playing. And yeah, so I'm going to be watching that tonight because it's on CBS Sports Network. So it's not on any of the Disney networks because I have YouTube TV, which I wouldn't be able to watch any of those. So I'll be watching that.
So I told Kevin when Notre Dame was playing Navy over the weekend, Duke has got to lay down for Army today. Veterans Day, you can't be beating them.
If they respect the troops, they'll
can't be beating the brakes off of Army on Veterans Day. That just is not right.
Good point.
Shout out, Happy Veterans Day, by the way, to all those that serve us, past, present, and going forward in the future. We appreciate all the service you guys do.
Yeah, we've talked about earlier in the show relatives and people we've had that were close to us that have served, and there's just an amazing thing that happens when someone says, you know what, I'll volunteer to do this for the next at least 4 years, and sometimes turns into a career.
One of the most emotional things I've ever done on like a vacation, it wasn't really a vacation, it was an 8th grade trip, but I went there also just with family. Went to Arlington National Cemetery, and that is truly one of the most inspirational yet emotional experiences of your life if you ever go there. If you've never been, I would highly recommend it if you get to D.C. at some point.
The other thing I would say, for all the hundreds and hundreds of games, college, NFL, everything else that I've covered, NBA, done play-by-play for, there's nothing like a service game. And you get an Air Force or Navy or Air Force Army at the beginning of the game, there's flyovers and then there's flyovers, guys. Oh, yeah. Something a little bit different.
They do it right. So.
Yeah, I was fortunate to do a bunch of games at the Air Force Academy when I was out in the Mountain West region. That was never a disappointing day. Always fun down there. Always
so if
fun.
Caleb's Blue Devils have any heart, they'll lay down tonight.
I think that's a good point, Mark. I think it's a win-win for Duke either way. You go home happy with the win, or you give some respect to the West Point people over there.
Is there any iteration of professional wrestling on Tuesday nights? Because on Monday night's the big one.
WWE NXT, which I don't watch too much just because I do have a life and children. I can't watch everything. So I don't watch that as much, but yeah, that is on tonight.
You spend half your time with your children watching WWE?
They do love it. They asked, "Are we watching it tonight?" And they always say, "Is WrestleMania on tonight?" I'm like, "Well, it's not WrestleMania. That's in April," but they don't know. So, yeah, we watched it last night. They're very excited, but yeah, we don't watch it every single night. So we'll see what's on the docket tonight. There is some college hoops going on. Can the Pacers get a W? Can they get some healthy bodies back? I'll be intrigued by that as they try to wrap up this West Coast trip with at least a win. Can we get one win out of 4? That'd be nice.
Yeah. I'll be checking out the Indiana Pacers a little bit later on tonight. But before that, I am 2 episodes away from finishing the 3rd season of The Diplomat with Kerry Russell. Have you
How's that
watched
show?
it?
I've heard good
I like
things. Okay.
I like it. I like Kerry Russell. I like her. It's pretty good.
Felicity
Not bad.
gets it done even in 2025.
I like more mature Felicity, to be honest with you. I
don't
like
blame
the
you.
character she has right now.
I don't
she's
blame
kind
you.
of she's kind of a hot mess, and that's kind of cool.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm kind of this is kind of like an early I got to know, but the Frankenstein movie by Guillermo del Toro, I've heard good things about that. I want to watch that on Netflix, so I'm curious about that if we should watch it or not. The girl's like, "Is that a scary movie?" I'm like, well, I don't think it's going to be not scary, so I don't know if I can watch it around them.
Anything else coming up on Netflix or one of the service providers? I keep waiting for. Are they coming up with a new season of Reacher? I'm ready for a new season.
I don't know. The A-Rod documentary. That is another one I do want to watch. The Alex versus A-Rod doc. I think that's on HBO Max.
Are we getting that from a point of view, or is it going to be a fairly objective look at A-Rod?
I've heard he's apparently, and he's in there, but I've heard it's like kind of a tell-all where he addresses the feud with Jeter. He addresses the steroid stuff and all that. So I don't love A-Rod that much. I think he's done better as a commentator and everything, but I will watch that. I will watch it at some point. So I've heard nothing but good things.
The crazy part about that Yankees team is, objectively, Alex Rodriguez was a better baseball player than Derek Jeter.
Mm-hmm.
But if I said, which guy do you want on your baseball team, it's Jeter 100 times out of 100, right?
Jeter, number 2. Yeah.
Right? I mean, it is. It's 100 times out of 100.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Alex Rodriguez is one of the 10 most talented baseball players that have ever walked on a field. The fact that he was even using performance-enhancing drugs was crazy to me. And there was something off about him all the time.
He was the face of like why people hate the Yankees, because he's a pretty boy, rich guy, and you just like, oh, you thought his blank didn't stink and everything like that. He would just drive you crazy because like, I don't like that guy, and he's wearing a Yankees uniform, and I don't like the Yankees. So he was like the face of why people don't like the Yankees. Is Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah. Tell me how it goes. If you like it, let me know.
I will
Maybe
let you
I'll
know.
check it out.
I do want to watch it.
I don't feel like I need to know a whole lot more about Alex Rodriguez. That's just me.
I'll let you know. It's a 3-part series.
Are they going to go deep into his relationship with Jennifer Lopez?
I hope so. I would like to know more.
All right. Coming up at noon today, Jake Query comes your way from noon to 3, and then, of course, at 3 o'clock, JMV will get you home on the ride with JMV. Have yourselves a great one. Caleb, great job. We'll see you again soon. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Pacers play tonight, 8:30 airtime, 9 o'clock tip.